Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are live here at the Belong Gaming Arena in lovely Nottingham, England. My name is Fallout.
And my name is Bife, and welcome to the Gambit Prime Arena Cup, hosted by Belong Gaming Arenas and Bungie. Of course, this is a Destiny 2 tournament that is focusing really around Gambit Prime, that favorite game mode of everybody who loves a little bit of PvP and a little bit of PvE. And of course, we have 4 teams today that are going to be squaring off against each other to find out who is the best in the entirety of the United Kingdom.
Fantastic. Don't we have a special video presentation?
Oh,
of some
do we?
type? I think I heard that there's a character. Isn't there some kind of Bungie? No, what are we looking for here? Who's here?
We're looking for a certain particular character in Destiny. Someone who's very much linked to Gambit. I can't remember who it must be.
I thought he was my rowdy uncle.
He might be your rowdy uncle. I'm not sure. But maybe we can find out in just a sec. Let's check out this video presentation.
Wow, what a special guest that was.
I know, I can't believe it. The Drifter made it all the way down to Nottingham.
I mean, you're the lore guy. Has he been living here this entire time?
I mean, he lives on the Derelict, but I guess maybe Nottingham is his favorite place in the UK, and maybe there's good beer here, I don't know.
I mean, new YouTube video inbound, am I right?
Absolutely. Got to have the lore on that later. Of course, as well, you know, he's very obsessed with food. Maybe there's great ways of getting hive steaks around here, I'm not sure.
There might be.
Oh, by the way, a little secret. Don't tell him. I stole the Drifter's coin.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
Oh,
bro.
yeah, it's a really bad idea, but I'm going to pay for that later. It's okay.
Can we get a couple dings real quick?
Ding, 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 ding.
We're out here giving the people what they want.
Oh, absolutely. All of the memes today, by the way. Every single meme.
last meme.
Absolutely.
But before we get into more memes, why don't we instead get into the lower bracket and find out what teams are going to be playing in the Gambit Prime matches today?
Absolutely. So, the tournament today is a double elimination format, and in the lower bracket today we have 2 teams from Bristol. We have the Bristol Brawlers and the Bristol Smugglers. So only one of these teams is going to make it through today, and whichever team makes it through is going to go through to the losers final. The loser of the losers bracket is going to be eliminated entirely.
That is correct. And then eventually we are going to see the winner of the winners bracket final. Now, if you win in the winners final, you're going to advance on to the grand finals. And if you lose that winner bracket, you are going to be knocked down to the loser final. And then whoever loses that is out of the tournament.
And then whoever wins the losers bracket is going to go back up to the winners bracket. But again, because it's double elimination, the loser who comes into the winners bracket for that final is going to need to win more games than the winner who comes in. So realistically, you have only 2 lives. You get knocked out twice, you're done. And remember, everyone in that losers bracket has a very tough path because they've already lost 1 game.
That's exactly right. And if you're a little confused with tournament format, don't you worry about it, because me and this guy, we're going to talk you through it all day, whether you want us to or not.
Absolutely. But I think our first game today is actually going to be with the Bristol Brawlers and the other team from Bristol, the Bristol Smugglers. So let's go ahead and think a little bit more about those 2 teams. I have heard an incredible rumor about this team. One of the 2 teams from Bristol has a Sentry player who is using a sword and the new Titan Stronghold exotic.
You're putting me on.
No, I'm not kidding. So for
People
those
still play Sentinel. What? Kidding. No, he has a sword. That's
Yeah.
very rare for Gambit Prime.
Absolutely.
I don't really see that very often. Normally you're going to have heavy machine guns. You're going to have a rocket launcher. Maybe you're going to have a Wardcliff coil. Maybe a 1K. So you're telling me there's a guy out there running around with the Taken and the Primeval and the chaos of this tournament with a sharp stick is what you're telling me.
Yes, he's running around, he's going to hit them with a very big stick. That's exactly what it's going to be. Oh no. Here we go. Bristol
we're
Brawlers
diving
versus
right in.
Bristol Smugglers. I guess we're going right in.
I love it. Here's the pre-game showdown. Oh, we got some tea pouring on the field. That's how you amp yourself up for the game. True invaders, they drink tea and then they jam out. Bang their guitar
Absolutely.
on the
Look at
ground.
that. And by the way, the invader of one of these teams earlier, it's well worth noting, they had Izanagi's Burden on, which is actually going to be a really interesting, strong pick. Special ammo pumps into that thing. You get that compressed honed edge ×4. It means it's a one hit to the body. So that's going to be huge.
I mean, the Izanagi's Burden is a notoriously fantastic invader weapon. Like you said, I mean, you can reward a player for being accurate with a sniper. They can take someone out with a headshot, but if they have enough ammo in their inventory, they can just cram all those bullets into one, take somebody down with a body shot, bingo, done.
Absolutely. And they're going to be the best friend of the Reaper, because of course, if the Reaper is going around and killing a whole bunch of stuff, then they're going to get the Pinata of Death perk, which means more special ammo drops for the teammates. That's going to be able to fuel the Izanagis going in there.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about the map that we're on right now, Bife. This is the Emerald Coast, if I'm not mistaken.
Emerald
This is
Coast.
a classic Gambit map. We have had this map ever since the introduction of Gambit. And I think most players feel very comfortable, very familiar with this map. You know, they've been playing it ever since the introduction. There's no surprises here. So it's not going to be like a situation where you have maybe a relatively new map. You're not exactly used to it in the way that you would be familiar with an original OG Gambit map.
Absolutely. It looks like the first invade is coming up here, though. Thunderlord being used. One player going down there. Oh, another two being
right
picked off
away.
right there. Excellent. Can he pick up a third? No motes on this. Actually, no, 9 motes on this player. Huge potential plays coming up here if they go out well.
Here we
Oh,
go.
they're also
Come
being
on.
bombed by the Taken.
There's another one.
There's another
Three
one.
down.
3 down. And now another invade on the other side is going along too. Heavy machine guns being the weapon of choice here today. 12 times player. Oh, bagging those 12 motes before they go down, but they have been slain. So if I'm not mistaken, that is 3 kills on the invasion versus 1 kill on the invasion. Both teams still relatively even, but it looks like the Smugglers have more in their reserves currently, so they can start banking again. Everything else on the other side, they still got to catch up.
This game is very close right now. When you have teams at this level of caliber, this level of skill, you're going to see them very neck and neck, almost for the entire duration of the game. Like we just saw, both teams invaded each other at relatively the same time. It's really... It makes my heart pound because like you have no idea what's going to happen. A good invasion is going to completely turn the tide on any team. And of course we had that one invader being shut down by the Sentinel, of course doing his job.
Absolutely.
shutting down that
It is
invasion.
all about those invades. It decides really good teams from truly great teams. So it looks like another invade coming back in. Thunderlord, 19 rounds in there. Oh dear, looks like they're going into the lower tunnels to escape him, but he still picks up 2 motes there. Another player coming along. He's going to drive around the side, get that shotgun
Boom,
going.
shakalaka.
Wishbringer and 2 melees coming around for the kill. Oh, that player has 11 motes. That kill could be huge.
Oh man,
He's escaping into the tunnels.
Oh, no!
If he can just simply get him down, and there he goes. Before being denied and sent back to his side, he picks out 11 motes. That is huge. The engagement there was a huge mistake for that 11 mote player.
Now the opening of the game, like I said, we're going to have things being relatively neck and neck. Oh no!
Oh, no!
What is happening right now?
Someone has been returned to orbit. Oh my goodness.
Oh, my heart goes out to this team. Oh, what is happening?
boy.
Oh, that's not what you want to have
That's
happen.
not what you want. Okay, so tournament rules on this one dictate depending on what's going on with regards to the
Okay,
game.
now I'm going to jog my memory here,
So-
but I think if multiple people get disconnected before the Primeval is summoned,
The game restarts.
now how many people got disconnected? Was it one player or was it
I'm not
multiple?
totally sure. If there's only one player there that got disconnected, then we are going to go ahead and just continue with that game. But if there are 3 or more players that have been disconnected, then we're going to go ahead and restart that match. We're going to go ahead and see what happens. Technical difficulties here may ensue, but regardless, we're here to keep you entertained.
Now,
we're here
in
to
the
keep you
meantime,
company.
Bife is going to do 10 minutes of uninterrupted hand shadow puppets. Take it away, Bife.
Oh, not even hand shadow puppets. No, that's for later. That's the special treat. First of all, it's going to be 10 minutes of Destiny Lore ASMR. And we've just heard from our producers, and we've had it confirmed it is indeed going to be a restart.
Okay, you know what? We're going to call that a hand warmer set, all right? If you're familiar with tournament gameplay, that wasn't a real set. We're just out here trying to get our hands warm. We're trying to get a feel for the gameplay. Come on, listen, let's be honest with each other. All right, we love Destiny. We love this game. That's why we're here. But we're no stranger to potential error codes. Am I right, Bife?
I don't know what you're talking about. Never at all has there ever been an error code in the history of Destiny.
The power ranking of enemies. It goes, what, the Fallen, and then the Vex, and then the Hive, and then way at the top tier
there's
is
Mongoose, Marionberry,
and the Mongoose.
Moose is an error code.
Moose is up there.
We found out Buffalo was an error code. I actually found this out from More Console. There's a great story behind this. More Console at one point is in the middle of Trials of Osiris back in the day in Destiny 1. And you know what he does? He accidentally hits the power button on his PlayStation 4, turns it off. Turns out that's error code Buffalo. That sends everyone.
Everyone has a story like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, we were about to go flawless in Trials of Osiris, and then my cat spilled orange juice all over the PC.
My cat spilled over my mug of coffee and went inside the PS4's disc tray, and all of a sudden I was seeing strange shapes on the front of everything.
And that was the origin of the Marionberry, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Fantastic.
This is the true lore behind Marion.
We're getting really deep into the actual lore here. But,
completely confirmed, by the way. The guys over at Bungie will back me up on this one. This is canon.
Now, I know that we're waiting for the next game to get set up, but we had a lot of really good fundamental gameplay that we were watching there. We were seeing good mode collecting, good PvE enemy shredding. Both teams were starting off well at the beginning. I think that the smugglers were taking off towards the end. I believe right before we got that hot, juicy disconnect, they were up like, what, 60-ish to around, I want to say,
about
mid-30s?
40, 30, something along those
40
lines?
maybe?
Yeah. We had that second invade coming in as well and some amazing Thunderlord play coming down there. But I think what's really intriguing about both these invaders isn't actually that they're both using heavy machine guns, but it's the difference of target prioritization versus, allowing players to come to you. So there's two different styles on display. For our player who I believe was on the Bristol Brawlers, they were going straight for the high note players, saying, I'm seeing that guy over there, he's got 11 motes, I'm going to go pound him first, and I'm going to destroy him, I'm going to go grab the motes that's been stolen from that team, excellent. But on the other side, you had a very sort of like fit to the enemy team type perspective with the Bristol Smugglers. And the reason I say that is because it would be this case of you'd pick off that first player, and then after all that was said and done, you'd let the enemy come to you. And that's how they were able to pick up so many good points there. You had that 11 mote player who was just able to completely shut them down potentially, but got drawn in and baited and then eventually got shut down by the invader, which I think is just testament to the really strong play on display here.
That's a very good point that you bring up. When you're an invader and you're invading the enemy team, you have to immediately think, who is my first target? Where am I going? Because you're going to get dropped into one of the traditional invading locations. You know your way around the map. Now, do you deal with the enemy nearest to you who might not be carrying any motes? You want to get them out of the way before they possibly interrupt your invade. Or do you go straight for that Guardian with the thick, with 2 C's, juicy 15 mote bar? What do you do?
Exactly, and that's where all of the different invading styles really come in. But also, it's well worth noting, by the time you fire those first few rounds, if you don't get that kill, it's big trouble. But no matter what happens, when you fire those first few rounds, you're revealed, practically speaking. The enemy team is going to communicate, they're over here, they're on right side. You need to go ahead and then immediately work to counter the other team. And that can work to an invader's advantage if they have the right weapon set.
Oh, of course.
But with the really fantastic invaders, there's this ability to use other elements of the map to their advantage. So, for example, take a look at Legion's Folly and New Arcadia. They've got teleporters on there. As an invader or a defender, using the teleporter to either bait in a player or alternatively to escape can be an incredibly strong strategy.
Very well put. And here we are loading back into the game. This is the real match right here. Hand warmers are officially over, done and dusted. Let's get some actual Gambit Prime on the field, my friend.
And here we go. And there it is. That's the player. I can see it in his inventory. That is the sword. It's the sword and Jotun and strongholds.
Look at this. They're coordinating emotes. This is some intense gameplay that I've never seen before in my life. This is actual
there it is, the true hero. The sword on the sentry player.
Oh,
that is incredible.
Oh, I think he can hear you. He's look at the display he's putting on.
He knows that he's playing to the crowd at this moment in time. Truly, this is the hero of the Gambit Prime Arena Cup.
It's like something out of the Discovery Channel. You want to puff up your chest. You want to put your feathers out there to intimidate the other team. Show them that you're not afraid to use that sword.
The Titan will bring the sword as high as he can, even though it has no ammunition with which to kill things. And then When it is at its greatest height, at its zenith, he will slam it down onto the floor, killing nothing, but showing his dominance.
Ah, yes, more Gambit Prime with Bife Attenborough.
Absolutely. You can catch more on Discovery and CBS at 9 p.m.
Okay, so here we are, both teams dunking at essentially the same time. Like I told you earlier, at the very beginning of each map, you were going to have essentially identical gameplay. Oh, but it looks like the Brawlers have their invasion portal open first. They're going in with the Izanagi's burden. Oh, here we go. He is thirsty right now. He's looking for a pick. He doesn't want to reveal himself right away. Lurking in the shadows. Oh! Can't quite close.
Can't quite close it. And also, he does not have his honed edge ×4 loaded, so those are normal sniper rounds.
Although he has the opportunity. He must feel really confident right now.
Oh no! Got 8 seconds left.
Come on,
not
you gotta
much
do
time.
some work here.
This entire team has also been able to bank their moats in the background of this, so this might have them slightly on the back foot, but that invade kind of not so consequential. It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate to see. You have to consider, though, that even when invading, if you don't pick off any enemy Guardians, you still might actually be doing work, because if you have that full set of invader armor, you could be locking down the enemy bank when you invade. They can't deposit their moats. They're dealing with additional blockers. They're getting their momentum tripped up.
And in Gambit, time can be money, but what's even more money are these kills coming in here. We got some real potential with that Thunderlord laying down heavy fire on these enemies to get some nasty stuff.
Now,
shooting down the floor.
He's intimidating the floor with his full auto shotgun right
there.
there. There's
that's
another machine gun kill.
Could be one to the fight there. He's getting flanked by a player, but it's okay because he has his Wishbringer and a melee to follow up. That's 3. Can he get the last player in the next 3 seconds? I don't think so, but even so, he's been able to put that team on the back foot. They're on the respawn. He's back on his other side.
Very well done. That was a good invade. Sometimes you just have to do all the work you can. And my heart was right there with that player who wanted to roll up and shut them down, but he just couldn't get it done.
He's not done. He's going right back in.
Invaded. Oh, there's one down right away. I think we have the Redrix's broadsword on the field.
Indeed.
Fantastic
and
weapon.
You know what he's doing? Killmonger ×3 is activated, which means he has bonus damage from all the kills he got previously, so he's just able to 2-tap them with the Redrix.
Oh, wonderful.
And now he gets all of them. He's going to go for more.
Get the 4.
Can he get this 4th?
Give the people what they want. Machine gun from downtown.
There he goes. Army of 1 coming back successfully to his team. The Smugglers have got to be really happy with that, but everyone has to pick up more moats. Despite those 2 invades, it's surprisingly even.
Yes, indeed it is. Now, I know a lot of the gameplay is really focused around watching the people go in and pull off their invading, because it's really hype to watch a very good invade. But you got to give credit to the other people on the team. They're doing a lot of work. You have to give the respect to the Collector. You got to give respect to the Sentry, the Reaper. They're out there doing their job. It might not be as glamorous and fun to watch as the Invader necessarily, but you're watching the strategy come together. These teams have put their strategy on paper into action, and they're trying to do everything they can.
Ooh, Bubbles losing 9 moats there. Very unfortunate, but it does look like the Invader over on the Bristol Smugglers side of things is indeed causing some problems here, and this is nasty. There are 15 moats. Never mind, there are not going to be 15 moats taken. It looks like the Smugglers invade right there was shut down. Brawlers are going to be very happy about that. And they're almost at 75 moats, which means yet more invades.
Here we got a hammer on the field. This is exactly what the Smugglers want to do right now. Sometimes you want to save your super for the Primeval. Sometimes you want to save it for an invasion. Sometimes you just needed to get it out there because you want nothing more than to get your Primeval on the field, because the first team to get their Primeval out there has a huge advantage because they are going to be cycling the map first, meaning that they're going to get that Primeval damage buff ×2, ×3 before the other team.
The Slayer stacks are down now. The Brawlers are on the back foot. They need to go ahead and do something seriously strong with their invasions, or alternatively, they need the other side on the Smugglers to slow down and give them room so that they can catch up. But I'm not sure which one it's going to be, and at this exact moment in time, I think the real leverage is going to start coming in here. The first DPS phase here, no one's really inside it, but that's not too surprising. Most teams will be looking to control the map first. There is an invade potentially up there for both teams. And the more important thing to note is you're only on 1 Primeval stack. You're not going to do any real damage on this one. It's all about ×2, ×3, ×4, and ×5.
That's right. You might see a lot of teams kind of using the Primeval damage phase level 1 and 2 get things ready. They're going to clear the stage of all blockers. They're going to make sure everyone has ammo. They're going to be talking with their team. Maybe they'll be doing a little kinetic damage, but nothing major.
And speaking of ammo, Honed Edge has been loaded. That one super powerful Izanagi shot is coming in, but first it's going to be the Hammerhead. A single series of bullets taking down that player, but the others are still up. Remember, every single kill in the Primeval phase made by an invader will heal Primeval, as they do say. Death heals Primeval.
That is correct. Now, even though we're not looking at a tremendously aggro invade right now, they're playing it very smart because they know that as long as there's an invader on the field, you're going to be looking over your shoulder. Like, you're being stalked out here by an invader. You don't want to poke your head out too much because you might die. You might heal your Primeval. You might throw your entire team's momentum. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
so
that's a burn, all right.
They're
My goodness,
carving
Primeval
through this
down.
What's
Almost
happening?
finished,
The yellow
almost
bar
finished.
is going down and down.
And there it goes.
There it is.
Primeval
Oh, look at how
defeated.
close.
Look how close
Oh
that
my-
was.
oh, wow.
The Bristol Smugglers bringing it in just under the
Oh,
line
they're
with
popping
literally
off.
5% HP difference between them and the Brawlers. And they have now made it out of the losers bracket into the losers final. That's incredible.
I had no idea how close the health bar was. Was that a
Yeah.
Primeval damage buff ×2?
That was both on Primeval ×2. And
Oh
you can
my
see
God.
here, when you have a coordinated team, you have good Well of Radiance stuff going on, and everyone is using their respective heavy ammo, and everybody is really pushing for that, you can burn down the Primeval super quickly.
Look, you're not going to see that kind of stuff in matchmaking. We're going to tell you that right now. This ain't no Blueberry Theater out here. These are good teams. These are the best teams in the UK coming together. You're going to see plays like that a lot today.
Let me tell you, Fallout.
Tell me.
Every single time I go into Gambit, I go in solo. I am a brave player and possibly a stupid player, but let me tell you something. I do not see games like that every day, and it is a treat to watch as a result.
F's in the chat for Bife. And for anyone out there who is bold enough.
My solo queue brothers,
play
hear me.
solo
We can
queue
unite,
Gambit.
sort of. Maybe, please, find me on LFG.
Just remember, if you're playing solo, you got to ABB. Always be banking.
Mm-hmm. And when the Drifter says,
that
bank
down.
those motes, remember, get the following instructions medal. Because you don't need to keep those motes. You don't need to go for the next blocker. You just bank that stuff and get your Primeval
Yeah.
out there.
Although I seem to realize that the Blueberries I play with, they like to get good, weightlifting exercises in there
Oh, yeah.
because they're carrying 15, 20 motes, and they're not banking those motes. They like being weighed down by the dark motes. They're getting some squat thrusts in there. They're
Dude.
working. It's leg day for those Blueberries.
Absolutely. The Blueberries who are on my teams are often, they're even more swole. I mean, not only are they carrying 15 motes, they're carrying me.
But that was just a fantastic game. That was a crazy ending. It's so incredible to see right there when both teams are about to cross the finish line. It's like a photo. It's like a photo finish.
That close as well. 5% Primeval damage. And the amazing thing about that is it just shows how important those invades are at the end.
Oh, yeah.
The invader doesn't contribute as much necessarily to Primeval DPS, but let me tell you, when you've healed a solid 15, 18% of the Primeval on the other side, that ends up being a huge difference. Because at the end of the day, if the Primeval is still standing, that 5% can make a huge difference,
can
as
make
we just saw.
All the difference in the world. Even one kill can heal the Primeval just enough where you're going to lose. But, excellent performance by both teams. That was fantastic to watch. Now we're having one team advance, and I believe the next match we're going to watch is going to be the winners finals. And
Or-
who's on that?
The winners bracket.
Who's on that bracket? Huh?
So, in the winners bracket, we have two teams actually not named after towns in the UK, surprisingly enough. I know that you will be shocked to find this out, but there are no teams, or towns rather, in the UK that are named Bread and Redacted.
I think you're making that up. I think my plane landed last night in Bread, London. Is that right?
Bread, United Kingdom, London, absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Well, now we have
Postal code of BR34D. Absolutely, that's the one.
Team Redacted and Team Bread. Again, this is the winners finals. So even though it says winners finals, this isn't the last game. Of course not. The winning team will advance onto the grand finals. The losing team will drop down temporarily into the losers finals, where they will be faced with a do or die situation. If they lose losers finals, they will be going home. But if they win, they will have a shot at redemption. They will be launched back into the grand finals, where they will have a chance of winning. But because they will be going to the grand finals from the losers bracket, they would have to win 2 entire sets rather than the winning team from the winners bracket who only has to win 1.
Yeah, and so the real pressure is on this game. We've got phenomenal teams coming up for you next. The two teams that we have in particular are Teams Bread and Team Redacted, and both of them are actually really strong contenders. Team Redacted, rather. Bream. I'm mixing up Team and Bread
Bream
right
Redacted,
there.
yes. That was
Yeah.
the original name.
Yeah, Bream Redacted, of course. For when it's the 8-man team that they are using for something. I don't know. Escalation protocol, perhaps. Either way, Team Redacted actually coming out of York, and the really intriguing part about Team Redacted is they come with what is possibly the strongest invader in the world, and I do not mean that simply as a matter of hyperbole. They're talking about bench when they're really talking about this team. The entirety of the team is amazing because they've got stacked players from groups like Redeem and Lost Rights, but Benj is the real hype man of this entire team. He is an invader, and he's notorious, and I mean that in the true sense of the word, because guess how many Gambit wins he has?
Oh, God, tell me.
He is 1 or 2 in the world in terms of his placement. He has over 1,650 wins. That is more games of Gambit 1 than I've ever played of games of Crucible.
You are definitely going to want to keep your eye on Benj. Again, he's not exaggerating, the #1 invader in the world, and they are locked into a dead heat in winners finals. I can't wait to watch. It's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Now, on the flip side of things, we've got a lot of stuff and hype from Team Bread as well. Team Bread, of course, coming out of London, my hometown. But what's really interesting about Team Bread is actually that their fundamentals and their core team synergy has the potential to be a lot stronger.
They are made up of very strong players. We actually had the privilege to go backstage into the crazy PC gaming room that they got back there here at the Belong Gaming Arenas in Nottingham. We went back to watch the teams warm up, and the communication was fantastic. They were firing on all cylinders. Polar, calling things out, all the team communicating with one another. They're working like a well-oiled machine, as they say.
Absolutely. I think I described the entirety of this match earlier to you guys with this kind of simple analogy. If you're looking at Team Bread and Team Redacted, the reality is you're looking at what is effectively a pack of wolves versus a single bear. Right? So Benj is the bear. Benj is the one who's really giving you that strong opponent that you all want to focus on, but everyone who is sitting back here on Team Bread, is actually just like a pack of wolves. They're coordinated. They have the ability to strike wherever they need to, and they can plan for anything that Benj might be doing. So this is really going to be a contest of wills here. I'm going to be really excited to see who comes out on top, but I have a feeling that we're going to see from the first few invades who gets to set the pace. And of course, you don't want to discount the other invader on Team Bread. We really need to see what they're going to do, because for all we know, they could tear the enemy team up on Team Redacted.
That's right, and I mean, yeah, just because Benj is a bear doesn't mean that he's playing with a bunch of rabbits out here in the woods, right? I mean, he is the invader to watch, but everyone here at this level of gameplay has earned their spot at this tournament. There's definitely no putting down any other player. We're just going to see great Gambit gameplay across the board. Every player, every role, every map.
Absolutely, and were it not for the fact that we're actually in Gambit and we're doing cheeky stuff with the darkness, I think it's fair to say that Shax would be proud. Shax would be very proud.
Cheeky stuff with the darkness.
Absolutely.
That sounds like an album title. Is that your latest album to drop?
Cheeky stuff with the darkness. It's actually not my latest album. It's my latest ASMR recordings that you can find on twitch.tv/mynameisbife. Not really. I am not doing that on twitch.tv/mynameisbife. Check it out on my YouTube. Just kidding. Not really. One of these days, maybe, if somebody donates like $1 million to St. Jude. Absolutely.
Anyway. How much time do we have until our next game is set to?
So I think it's about 10 minutes on the clock. So. Because the other teams, they need to go ahead and prep. They need to get ready. They're going to have a little huddle before the game. They're going to make sure they're all knowing what they're doing.
You got to have the team huddle, right? I mean, that's pretty much what it's all about. All the players who are here, they're here to play a game. But that doesn't mean that they aren't taking it seriously. You know what I mean? You have the team, you sit down together, you go over the strategy, because if you think they are coming into this level of gameplay with no strategy, what is he doing? What is he thinking right now? Like, they're going to go over everything. They're going to confirm that their weapon loadouts are perfect, just the way they want them to be. They're going to make sure that they're talking about, hey, which way are we going to go on each map? Who's going to, who's the invader? I mean, they probably have that set already, but what weapon and what strategy are you going to do when you invade? What's the game plan here?
And also, you got to remember that this particular tournament has an interesting set of rules that really dictate and govern the way that the teams have to play. So to give you guys a little bit of clarity on that, we have a few rules such as no repeat subclasses. So for example, if you have a Void Warlock, you cannot have another Void Warlock. If you were thinking that you could simply use 4 Nova Bombs to break down a Primeval instantly, that's not how this is going to play. There are also no duplicate exotics. So in other words, if one person is using 1k, that's it. No one else can use 1k voices. If somebody is saying they're using an Izanagi's for their invasions, no more Izanagi's. If someone is using a Stronghold and is being a complete maniac with a sword, no one else is going to be able to use Stronghold, amazing as that is. I still can't believe we saw that.
Do you really think that he was going to announce to his team, oh, by the way, I'm using the Stronghold sword. Do you think there was a resounding, no, I wanted to use it. I wanted to use the sharp
what a killjoy.
stick.
Unbelievable.
Another rule that they have, which I was actually surprised by, which I'd never seen before, no duplicate legendary weapons, which I think you mentioned already. But like again, coming from the PvP side, I've watched a lot of PvP traditional Crucible tournaments unfold. That has never really popped up to that level of intensity. You know what I mean? The main things traditionally are no duplicate subclasses, no duplicate exotic armor. Certain pieces are banned, of course, but never really to the level that we're seeing here. But it does bring an interesting element of strategy to the table because some weapons are so viable, so effective. You are definitely going to have teammates potentially arguing with one another about who can use which gun and which loadout.
Exactly. I mean, a common question I think that everyone would ask is, where do you assign the threat level? Because everybody's going to want to use a threat level. Threat level is a top-tier gun.
Yeah.
And as a result, is it going to go to your Reaper or is it going to go to your Sentry? I don't think it's likely that it'd end up with a Defender, Invader rather, because, I mean, that's not necessarily the kind of role that you're using with your special ammo. You might be looking to use Izanagis, you might be looking for a sniper generally, you might be looking for a different shotgun like a Retold Tail, but at the end of the day, it comes down to those really key questions, and this is part of the reason why no duplicate legendaries per team is a thing. It forces you to really flex out your role and gives you a much more interesting experience for you, the viewers back home. It means that we will see strange picks. It means we will see people using weapons that you wouldn't expect. So that makes it just a little bit more exciting and a little bit less predictable.
And although I am a relative personal fan of watching both teams use whatever they want and just going at it, whichever team wins, so be it, I do actually enjoy this level of nitty-gritty strategy because, again, if you could roll with whatever weapon, both teams would very likely stack with the hardcorest of loadout options, and then they would roll in. They'd be throwing Nova bombs everywhere. And so with this, you actually have that moment where you have to work with your team and you go, okay, on paper, what are we doing? Because you have limited resources that you can bring to the table.
And in a certain sense, if a team works it perfectly, they can actually focus on, instead of being a bunch of glass cannons, if everyone decides, let's bring Lord of Wolves, let's plop it down a well with Lunafaction Rifts, everybody has a little bit more versatility in their build. And while it doesn't mean you can burn the Primeval instantly, it does mean there's a whole lot more variety that you can bring, and that means you're a lot less sort of inflexible. You're a lot less brittle as an entire team. Let's say that you want to go ahead and shut down an invader. You can hit them with both a sniper rifle and a shotgun at the same time. You can pressure them, lock them in, and then cut them down. And that's what's really effective about having this mix of different weapon types that everybody has to select. You have the ability to pick and mix, and therefore the broad amount of engagements that you can potentially take is far more engaging.
And what you mentioned earlier, there are certain weapons that have very defined roles. Now, a weapon like the Izanagi's Burden, traditionally, that is a primarily invader-heavy weapon. But there are other weapons on the table where you have the discussion, who's going to use this? Because we know we want someone to use it, but some weapons have dual functionality. A perfect example would be the 1000 Voices. So that weapon can function as a fantastic PvE DPS weapon. You can really hurt the Primeval. You can really hurt those envoys. You can do a lot of damage. But on the other hand, if you were to
paint the
invade,
bank with that?
I mean, we've seen videos where people invade with the 1K. That gun is absolutely disgusting. It'll fire behind the corner, and you'll be like, oh, that didn't hit me at all. And then 2 seconds later, you're dead and on fire. What happened?
It didn't even matter in the first place, despite the fact that you tried so hard.
And got so far.
What a shame. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and queue up for this next match soon. I'm really excited to see this generally. Again, Bread versus Redacted, no matter whether these guys both end up back in the finals or not, this is really one of the more hype matches of the day because, again, you have two fantastic teams squaring off against each other.
Absolutely. Again, they're both in it from the winners' finals, meaning that to get to this point, I'm pretty sure they probably have not lost a match yet, because if they lost, they would have been in the losers' finals. So you essentially
not a single match has been lost.
A clash of titans, as we can see on camera here. Both teams are gearing up. The teams are very focused right now. They're checking each other's loadouts probably. They're making sure that all systems are go right now. They don't want to have any snags or problems, nothing bad come up during the game.
And of course, they're both paying the Drifter bribes so they can get more motes more quickly, because of course that's how it works.
Well, what exactly are they bribing the Drifter with?
More motes, I think.
More motes?
Alternatively, maybe some of that wonderful hive steak they were talking about earlier.
Hive steak. Oh,
wait.
Where
is he
is
there
he?
in the
Is he
background?
there?
Is he there in the background?
I've heard a report.
I heard a report that somewhere in the background,
somewhere on the floor. If you're at
Drifter.
home, let's play a game of Where's Waldo, or as I believe you say here,
Where's Wu
Wally?
Ming? Where's Wu Ming? Here's another fun little lore fact, by the way, about the Drifter. The Drifter has never had a single...
there he is.
Oh, there he is,
There's
there
the
he
Drifter.
is.
What is he
He's
doing back
creeping
there?
in the background. He's watching
He
both
might
the
be
teams gear
gathering
up.
information.
He might indeed. He might be selling it to the other team for those wonderful hive steaks.
That Drifter would do anything for a hive steak.
Yeah, dude.
He's
The
like a
juicy
cereal
prime
mascot.
cut. Tender-reared hive knight, been bred for 1,000 years in the pit of the dreadnought, and then after all that's said and done, you age it for 48 days after it's been killed, and then season it just ever so lightly with just a little bit of sea salt.
This is actually becoming a cooking channel. This is Cooking with Bife. Yeah, you
And
should
when
come
we're back, we'll show you Radiolorian pudding.
Oh, we have one finished in the oven already.
Oh,
wonderful.
how
I love it when
convenient.
that happens.
Unbelievable.
That never happens at home in my kitchen.
Now, I got to ask you, what's your favorite to win this one? Because, again, this is one of the more hotly contested matches. Bread or Redacted?
That's a very tough question. I have to say that if I had to put money on it, I might put money on Bread, because their track record so far has been very impeccable. I've heard that every game they have won up until this point has been a very convincing win. Now, at this level, that might not mean as much, because when you're going through the ranks at a lower level all the way through the beginning of the tournament, of course you're going to fight a different caliber of team. Now, they're reaching the tip top of the mountain, okay? So they're going to go up against one of the toughest teams here, topped off with the #1 invader of the world.
And honestly, on that side of things, I'm going to give this one to Team Redacted. I feel as though Benj is the real kind of hidden secret weapon of the team, although maybe not so secret considering his reputation. I think that, honestly, he's the one that's going to carry it, because, again, so much is put on the pinnacle movement of that invader. When they're at the top of their game, when they're in the enemy's team zone, you can then see them truly go to work, and with a man like Benj, he will be able to truly work some magic. So that's what I really
Look
think
at him.
is
If
going to
you're
happen.
watching at home, he's the fellow right there on camera, not the guy leaning forward with the dark shirt. He's a little bit in the background. He's got a red shirt on. Where did he go? I lost him in the darkness.
Ah, truly they are
Help me,
immersed in
Bife.
the
The darkness is everywhere.
The darkness consumes you. But yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And not to mention, when he does go in for those invades, I do think that Benj's ability to sort of push forward is going to be really the reason why I'm giving this one to Redacted. However, I do got to say this as well. I think that we know exactly who the local Bungie community managers are going to be backing for this one. Because, of course, there is this running rivalry between Cosmo and DMG. That's right, guys. I'm talking about you guys. DMG, I know that you're going to be over there cheering for Team Bread. And Cosmo, I know you're going to be over there cheering for Team Redacted. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down to you. Hopefully, each of your respective teams does well. But as for the better team, we shall see when the match begins, which will be any moment now, I think.
We have a community torn against themselves. Who do you go for, Bread or Redacted? I mean,
It is the greatest question.
what team do you think that Deej is rooting for?
Now that's the real question. I have a feeling he might be rooting for Team Redacted, but I only say that because only DMG is truly as obsessed with Bread as some of the fellow community
Yeah,
members.
let me call Deej right now. Hold on a second. We'll find out what he's
Okay.
voting for.
Stand by.
Yes. Deej? Yeah, it's Fallout. Please. How did I get this number?
Well,
He could
we'll
not
come back
confirm
to
which
that
team
later.
he was rooting for. We'll get that answer back for you a little bit later.
We will confirm when we find out. But of course, with all of that said, we are about to begin this next match. I, again, really do feel as though this is going to be one of the better ones that we see today, but so much of it hinges on how these teams do. You can see, of course, everyone there seems relatively calm, but underneath there has got to be a little bit of nerve there.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, they have their game faces on right now, but there's no telling what's going on underneath. You know, you got to be a little bit jittery. You're here at the top level. You're moving forward from the winners finals, potentially into the grand finals. You got to have a little bit of butterflies going on in your stomach right now.
Absolutely. There's so much potential for all of these teams that we see today to do well. But again, the teams that we have before us truly are phenomenal. And I'm just really excited to see this game. You know, we've said our teams, we've said our preferences, but I think no matter who plays this game and no matter who wins it today, we're going to see a fantastic game of Gambit no matter what. And the better thing about this, no matter what happens, one of these teams will be moving on to the grand final because this is the winner's bracket.
Correct.
So no matter what happens, we're going to see one team in the final that's going to do fantastic games. It's really down to whether we're going to see Redacted or Bread in the final guaranteed. So we'll see what happens.
Now, here's the real question. After this game, one team, again, will get knocked down to the losers finals. Now, are they going to win that game and come back for the round 2 rematch, or are they going to lose their footing Are they going to lose their momentum? Are they going to lose to the team already in the losers bracket? Could we see some
Indeed,
kind of
yeah.
Cinderella story where the
Indeed.
teams that we watched earlier,
Maybe they have a chance. If possible, maybe we can pull up the losers bracket so we can just go ahead and see, because I know that both of the Bristol teams that we had played a really fierce game earlier.
Absolutely.
And of course, it ended up being that the Bristol Smugglers came on through with that 5% more primeval damage, just sneaking in under the wire. Brawlers, unfortunately, have been knocked out of the tournament, but the Smugglers really do have an interesting chance here, because whilst they were previously in the losers bracket, if they beat the loser that falls down to them in the loser brackets finals, they then have, admittedly, a very steep road to climb, but a road potentially to being the overall winner. And I think that gives them an amazing little chance to sort of really hit back. The thing is, though, no matter what happens, they're going to have to go through both Team Bread and Team Redacted, two top-tier enemy teams that are going to have really strong roles implanted throughout their entire structure. They're going to have top-tier invaders. They're going to have the fundamentals down, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that contrasts.
absolutely. I mean, yeah, the Smugglers have the chance. It's not like it's completely out of the world of possibility that they could win. They could absolutely get it done, but they have their work carved out for them. They're coming up from the bottom of the losers bracket. They have to go through, in theory, both teams. You know, they're going to have to win the losers final, then they're going to go to the grand finals. They're going to have to win the best 2 out of 3 set, because again, right now we're in a best of 1. Once we hit grand finals, that turns into a best of 3. So they're going to have to win that best of 3, and then they're going to reset the bracket, and then they're going to have to do it again.
It's going to have to be 5 independent moments where they're going to have to shine. They've already made it to the losers final, so that's one of the big tests out of the way. But if they really want to go ahead and do it, they need to win 4 more games in a row. They cannot afford to lose. They only have this one chance. And if they blow it here, you know, it's over. It's done.
That's what we in the business refer to as a must-win situation. Is that correct, Bife?
That is indeed correct. But if they do win it, that's what we call the comeback.
I live for those types of comebacks.
Oh, dude.
Look, I love
yes,
watching both of
absolutely.
these teams right here in the winners bracket finals because they are going to put on quite a show. But nothing gets me right in the heart like a good old-fashioned Cinderella story. I would love to see the Smugglers come back out of nowhere and take the crown.
It is such a shame that we saw the Brawlers eliminated earlier, but I've got to say, it was only a shame because they also fought so hard. That last match was so fantastic just to watch because there were so many little moments where it was nail-bitingly close on both the fundamentals and the invasions. You saw people that occasionally were hanging back a little bit too much, maybe being a little bit too reserved, but then you saw other points at which the enemy team was playing right into their hands. And at both of those instances, phenomenal play. Amazing moments went down in the game.
You have to feel it for both teams because the losing team, they probably are experiencing a little bit of a Monday morning quarterback situation. They're now out of the tournament, and they're thinking, what could we have done differently? You know, you tip your hat to them because they put on a fantastic performance. They did an excellent job. And really, it wasn't a blowout victory. It was really within a hair. So I think they have the ability to hang their head high and realize that they did a good job. And if we put on another event like this, they can come back, possibly do even better.
And they can say, hey, I made it to the finals of the Gambit Prime Arena Cup. Excellent stuff from that team. We are almost ready from the sounds of things. The teams will be whirring up momentarily. I'd give it around about a minute or so until we're ready to start. Oh. And the producers are just...
That's what we call the commentator's curse.
Indeed.
This is a real thing. Look that up. Commentator's curse. Right as Bife
And
is
I
telling us, hey,
invoked
we
it.
have about a minute left before we get into the next game. Then, of course, we hear from the wonderful people on the
Production team
side
and,
telling
yeah.
us in our ear, we may have a little bit of a delay.
Such is the way of things.
What are you going to do?
We'll keep
Am I
you
right?
company while you're waiting. Don't worry, guys. It's all good. We're going to be here.
So what other important factors do you think that both teams are going to need to bring to the table other than having a really good invader and a really effective primeval burn? What are the elements of success that people might not be thinking of right away?
I think, honestly, there's a real series of things to be said about synergy between the home team. So your Sentry, your Reaper, and your Collector. The Reaper and the Collector are going to be the two that everyone focuses on the most, because at this exact moment in time, when you think of the two of them, they just go together. They're out there in the field, they're killing the ads, they're killing the mobs, they're picking up all the motes. But, more importantly, you might want to think about having your Collector be the one who hangs back initially and then ferrets out all those motes. So, going in with a Reaper that has a shotgun is going to be a really strong strategy for melting those large enemies. Threat level is going to be an incredibly powerful weapon, Ikelos shotgun by that same notion, but if you're sitting there and you all of a sudden notice, hang on a sec, the Reaper's accidentally picked up all of these motes. Oh no, that's not good. We should have given those to the Collector instead.
The Collector.
You know, there's all sorts of different benefits and synergies that you can get from the armors here. And that's something that a fundamentals team is going to be able to determine at the very top of their game. Because of course, you know, there are real benefits to a Collector picking things up. If you have 6 or more points in your Collector armor, when you pick up a variety of motes, or a large number of them rather, you will get Umbral armor, which means you have an overshield. That then is effective because if the invader comes along, they're going to have a slightly harder time dealing with them. That means it's the difference between maybe an extra shot from a machine gun, like say Hammerhead or Thunderlord. And that sounds like not much, but the games of Gambit that we've seen can turn on smaller things than a single heavy machine gun bullet.
Very well put. I think we actually witnessed that firsthand in the game we just watched, where one of the players had invaded, and you saw the team on the defending team. The player came up and tried to give him the how do you do from behind with the shotgun, but he couldn't get the job done, probably because the invader has that advanced level overshield granted by the invader level armor. So very tiny things like that can make very big differences. If they had shut out that invader a little bit earlier, they might have been better off. They might not have dropped as many motes. They might have not had their momentum interrupted. They could have kept going with the flow. You could have seen a potentially different game altogether.
And I think this is another thing that has to be said about the team roles in Gambit. Everybody sits there and thinks the biggest enemy of the sentry on each team is actually the invader. And that's not always the case when you've got a really good sentry. Sometimes the really terrible enemy to face is a good collector on the other side. And the reason for that is because if you drop a ton of big blockers, something like say a giant blocker at 20, that's going to have a real impact on their ammo reserves. So there's this real game of cat and mouse with regards to the ammo that you're trying to conserve. Let's say that your sentry has something like say a Lord of Wolves, and they've only got 30 rounds in that thing. That's a single reload of a clip. Now you could do that and you could effectively lay down fire on an invader who's been tempted in, or alternatively you could use that to clear the bank and make sure that your teammates can bank in the first place. So the Collector not only has this role of course of pushing you closer towards the primeval, but it's an aggro situation for the other side. You're throwing more of their resources down the drain so that they have a tougher fight to get to primeval. And let's not forget, the more blockers that you have on the other side, the more likely it is that you're going to be draining motes from the other team's bank. Stressing the sentry, I think, is actually one of the more important targets that you can build on as a team. And it's one of those really small edge things that only top tier teams who've really got their fundamentals down are going to be able to do. But when you do it right, you're going to be able to completely demolish their defense, because no sentry means no marking the invader. Nothing is going to be easy when your sentry is down.
That's right. Every single role on the team has an important job, and they have important questions that they have to ask themselves. Like you said, if you're a collector, you have to determine, in the heat of the moment, are you going to deposit your motes at a tiny number, or are you going to do it at a big number? You could send over a big Chungus blocker, but again, like you said, there are advantages and disadvantages to doing that. If you get invaded and you got caught with your pants down, essentially, with 20 motes, you could be in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely.
But if you're dunking 5 or 10ers, the blockers are still good, but you're taking more time going back and forth to the bank. Now, I like doing the small blockers because I find them more annoying. I like kind of flooding the enemy team with random taken. It
Now,
appeases me.
I've got to ask this, because I'm sure everyone who's played Gambit at home has had this exact scenario. Have you ever had that moment where you have 2 Tekken goblins and they decide they're going to become best friends?
They give them
They
the
lock
old,
eyes,
the
they
finger
look at
trap
each other.
tactic.
They're looking gracefully
Yes.
into each other's souls, and they think, we're going to stay like this forever. And the other team sits there and it's like, we're going to stay like this forever. Yeah.
We'd like to remind you
That's
that
why small blockers can be annoying. That's why they matter.
we would like to remind you that we are coming at you live right now from the Belong Gaming Arena, located where, Bife?
Here in Nottingham. Nottingham,
Exactly
UK.
right. And if you are in the area, please feel free to come on down. We got a great crowd out here. Hey, can we hear from the crowd? There it is. Come on. Do better
There we
than that.
go.
What is that?
We
Come
can get
on.
a little bit more
More.
than that. Let's hear from the
There
crowd.
it is.
There we
All
go.
right. Give it up.
Perfect.
We got a great venue down here. It's fantastic. Plenty of lovely people. We even actually have, did you see here? We have Destiny-themed food and drink menus.
Oh, they have cocktails. They have cocktails for each of the different classes here. And the Invader one apparently is really mean. And I mean that not because of the fact that it, shouts insults at your mother. I mean it because of the fact that it is really strong.
I'm hearing the team's getting really hyped right now. Are we close to a game, or are they just trying to keep their own adrenaline high? I'm hearing shouting.
It looks like there's
behind
some
me.
trash talk going back and forth
Is
between
the
the teams
trash
back
talk?
there. Ooh, this is going to be interesting.
Maybe we could be hours from gameplay, and they're just having a rap battle back there. Is that what they're doing? They're just insulting each other back and forth? I want to go back there and join the rap battle.
Absolutely. They're going to come back out there and they're going to be like, Team Bread has forfeit because all of a sudden the Reaper on Team Redacted just laid down some fantastic bars, and all of a sudden they're out. There's no way they can compete
We can't
against
continue
that
the
fire.
tournament because one of the teams got served back there.
Served
This
and they're
is-
not coming home. They need some sun cream to treat those burns.
You know, you would think that we've had too many Invader cocktails up here right now, but I assure you we have not. It's going to happen later.
We have been having some of that wonderful Bungie trademarked room temperature water today.
Oh, I love it.
Oh,
Top
it's
tier
gorgeous.
water. You can't get better water out here.
Oh, and by the sounds of things, we're about to go ahead and start. My apologies for the wait there, guys, but we are there now, and we are loading into the next match versus Team Bread and Team Redacted. Let's see who comes out on top. This is the Gambit Prime Arena Cup.
Well done, Bife.
Keeping it all
Are
together.
they loading in? What map? Do we know what map we're going to be loading
That's a
into?
very good question. Now, for those of you who don't know, there are 4 maps currently within the pool remaining, and the teams do decide in advance. For this first section and this first stage, it is the first team gets to ban 2, I believe, and then whatever is left gets chosen by the opposing team, and then after that they do the same with enemy types. It turns out, again, this game is going to be played on Emerald Coast, so we're going back to the EDZ, that
okay.
most classic of maps.
You know, I'm glad that we have a good map that everyone understands, everyone feels comfortable and familiar with. I was kind of hoping that maybe as we get a little deeper into the tournament, we'd see some crazier maps. Maybe one of the new maps designed specifically for Gambit Prime. Because if I was in this tournament and I was trying to put the other team on tilt, maybe one of my tactics would be to choose an unconventional map where the other team might not have good footing.
Absolutely. But in the meantime, we're going to drop back onto the Derelict. Everyone here from both Team Bread and Team Redacted is going to be facing off against each other on the Emerald Coast of the EDZ. Earth is primed and ready, and so is the Transmat. Here it goes. And the teams are going to face off against each other, just dropping down now. Can we see anything of interest from each of these teams?
I
It
think we
currently
have a
looks like we're
blast
looking at
furnace
Bread.
pulse rifle here on the field. That is a classic M&K weapon. And switching over to the other team, we got shotguns aplenty out here. Shotgun. Am I seeing dual shotgun on this player? I think I'm
Ooh,
seeing
look at
dual
that.
shotgun.
We are
now, wait a
indeed
minute.
seeing
What am
dual
I seeing
shotgun.
here? Now, Bife, confirm this for me. Once you go into the game with your loadout, you're not allowed to change loadout. You're locked
You are
in.
locked. You can no longer change your weapons. You have to stick with that set.
Now, I'm referring, of course, not to the Gambit Prime mechanics, but to the rules of this tournament. So if you're watching at home saying, hey, that's not right, we can change loadouts in Gambit Prime, not today. That's not happening. You're going in with your loadout. You have to commit to that loadout. So we're seeing 2 shotguns on 1 player right here. That's a crazy decision. I wonder if that's going to pan out.
Now, a little fun fact, for those of you who love getting nothing of worth from your engrams, the Cryptarch is actually playing on Team Bread. He's a London localer, and by the Cryptarch, I mean the Cryptarch, the famous Twitter account. He
Okay,
is
look at
indeed
this.
there.
We
Ooh.
have 25 on the field right now. The
Here
power
comes
ammo's
the
picked up.
Bench.
You know that Benj is coming in. Oh, he's got
Oh,
that
he's
sniper.
got that long
He's locked and
shadow. He's
loaded.
looking for a team. Oh, misses first shot coming in there, but he's close. Second shot connecting, but not quite a kill. He's looking for them, but he might have to switch to another target here. Moving on forwards. He's got his tractor cannon out there. Oh, and here it comes. He's coming right in front of them. Doesn't manage to get the kill. Doesn't get any damage there. No suppression from that tractor cannon. Benja's first invade is not going as well as it could be, but at least able to do some damage on the first one. Is he going to be able to pick up the kill?
3
Doesn't
seconds
look
left.
so. 2, 1. Oh! Benj going down to the ward cliff just at the last second.
But I
Now-
think as he traded, I do believe he caused the opponent to drop 8 motes, if I saw that correctly. Not bad. Now, we could have seen a little bit of tournament jitters there from Bench. He went in, he missed 2 sniper headshots back-to-back. Although he was doing his job of keeping the other team on tilt, but he did not get as many kills as he was hoping to get.
Now there is another invade coming up. Invader is present over on the side of Team Redacted. I'm not sure who the Invader is over on Team Bread, but regardless, Benj is on the swivel. He's looking around with his long shadow, trying to find them. It looks like the Invader is over here. It's Enigma. And they're currently taking out Zoe, by the way, another one of those really good Gambit players. They're going ham, look at that! And then the Blade Barrage to try and finish off, and he gets the final kill on Benj! That is an army of one. He is going back home to his side of the arena, and the Drifter is proud.
Well done. A lot of time going off on that timer. You want to make sure you can get as much damage done before the timer goes off and you get
not
sent back.
done, he's going back in!
Oh man, look at this. But he doesn't have the Blade Barrage now, but that doesn't
It doesn't mean
matter.
he doesn't have Hammerhead. One kill down, but Benj is shutting him down. Benj says, no more of this. I am the king of the snipers and the invasions here, and I'm going to put you in your place.
Benj says, look at me. I'm the Invader now.
I am the Invader now, indeed. Both these teams as well, relatively speaking, neck and neck. It isn't quite perfect because there is a slight lead on Team Bread here. Their fundamentals being a little bit better, pulling them through just about, giving Team Redacted a run for their money. Remember,
look at all these moats on the field. Oh my god, they need to collect those moats quickly.
And now is a very dangerous
there's
time.
an Invader on the field. They need to get rid of this Invader as quick as they can so they can pick up. Look at all those moats littered in the back.
Oh, Bench is back, and he's got a great opportunity to work with those. Taking out one, but sadly trading with another one of the players on the enemy team. Amazing stuff that he's even able to get that in with the hand cannon, but unfortunately, perfect blocking out from the other team's defending players.
Look at these thick gray bars on either side. Both teams need to bank right away. Oh, the bank has been locked. The Invader is in. This is a big opportunity.
Bench dropping the Blade Barrage there. Doesn't get any kills. Amazing stuff to see this. And then the other Invader's going and dropping it there. 15 motes have just been taken out. I have seen nothing crazy in this. Another sniper shot goes down. 15 motes on this player, but he gets shot down. You're not taking mine today. It looks like the Get Wrecked community player, Asian, taking out the Invade there, making sure that their motes are protected. That's got to be a little bit of disrespect right there.
Look, that was not a perfect Invade, but it did its job. Look at the score right now. We have one team with the Primeval on the field. The other team just went from 50 to 79. That is a big swing in power on the field.
I think it's fair to say that Team Redacted was the favorite coming into this, but now they're back on the back foot. They don't have their Primeval yet. Team Bread, on the other hand, does. And that means they're going to need to pull forward and get as many stacks of Primeval as they can. If they can get their Slayer stacks up to 2, there is potential for them to burn down the Primeval, so Redacted needs to pull this back as quickly as they can.
That's exactly right, Bife. Every second that goes by for Team Redacted, they are putting themselves at a tremendous disadvantage because we know how good Team Bread is at shredding their Primeval. They have the first opportunity to really carve it down and to win the game. Now we have both teams about to get Primeval on the field.
Oh, Bread is starting to burn.
Starting to do damage.
There is an Invade coming in, I think, with all of this, so they might have an opponent coming up.
Oh, here we go.
An intense sniper duel is going on currently. We've got Enigma facing off against Benj.
They might not have enough
That is truly
time.
a contest of wills. Primeval Shield goes back up. They've done significant damage to it, though. These kills are going to be incredibly important. They need to make sure they secure these, if only to put the other team on the back foot. Benj is currently in this contest, and Benj goes down! My goodness, Enigma going mad with that sniper rifle and hand cannon combo.
Now I think Team
Bread,
oh, another snipe!
Beautiful stuff.
Team Bread may have had the opportunity to burn down their Primeval, but they may have taken an extra minute to go for the Invade to slow down Team Redacted as much as they could before going for the burn. Are we going to see a win right here from Team Bread?
It looks like Benj has invaded. This is a last-ditch effort. He needs to basically get a team wipe to put the teams back on. Oh no! It looks like the entire team got burned down by all the blockers. They're all standing in fire, and now they're all down. Benj has basically got them all locked into a kill zone. With him and his sniper, he's going to be able to pick them off one by one, and that's one kill already.
Oh, I don't know if they should be charging right now. They are feeding Benj. Don't feed the beasts.
Don't feed it. Death heals Primeval, but Benj goes down to that Wardcliff shot. Beautiful defensive formations, but it does look like Redacted is back in here with a shot. And look at that, a huge stack of their Primeval's health is gone.
Oh, Redacted is going for the burn right now. Are they going to pull it off?
They might pull it
Bread
back
with the
here,
last
but they
second
need
invade.
that
Are they
DPS.
going to make it happen?
That's one!
Hit the snipe!
That's one! That's two! This is incredible stuff! If they can get more kills, that brings it back. Neck and neck game here between Bread and Redacted. Could this be a third kill? Maybe, maybe not. Blade Barrage! Coming back in. Can he get for the fourth? Amazing stuff. Benj has gone down here. And that is 4! Army of one. Going back. The Drifter is going to be proud. Embrace the dark, he says.
Oh, they have to finish the Primeval right now. Both teams have a victory on their doorstep, but they need to close. This is so wildly important. I didn't think that it would take this long. Both teams are fantastic at DPS shredding, but they can't yet get the Primeval shredded. They're right there. What do they have to do? You have to finish
all about
right now.
those invades. The first team to really shut down an invade is going to be the one that really takes advantage.
More invading by
More
Benj on the field.
invasions.
He's got to put in work right now. Oh, and he gets picked off.
Getting shut down there. Amazing stuff. I believe that's actually Enigma who sniped him down. Yes, it was indeed.
Oh, wait a minute. Redacted.
Wait.
Look how close
Redacted is so
to
close.
winning
They're
right
nearly
now.
there. They're done. Oh my god. Primeval
That
defeated.
is the game. Team Redacted with the victory in the final hour. Wow, that was incredible.
Coming
Both
back
teams
at the last minute
so
there.
close with that victory, and I can hear the players are going berserk in there.
And it looked so close. I genuinely at one point thought that Bread had that one in the bag, but then there were these incredible invasions back and forth from both teams. Amazing game, and this right here is why both of those teams were truly at the top of their game. This is why this was the one to watch, because no matter what happens next, we have a great team in the final, but this was truly an incredible game right here. Kudos to both Bread and Redacted. Two incredible teams. Amazing game thus far.
Now, you gotta admit that was kind of a heartbreaker for Team Bread. They had everything lined up to their advantage. They had the lead. They summoned their Primeval first. They did more damage right away. They were right there. They were getting close. Now, I think they may end up regretting that decision to go for the invade rather than to straight up come together and burn down the Primeval, because what we saw there was they pulled off a good invade, but they gave Team Redacted too much wiggle room.
Stacks, and then they were like, okay, you've killed some of our players, but our invader is still up. Benji's going to come in, and he's going to start to shred your team, and Benji will do what Benji does best. And that ultimately is where they should have stuck to the fundamentals. I think you're completely right, Fallout. That was the correct decision. Yeah. Because that extra fourth player might have been the difference. After all, there was only about a third of the HP left on that Primeval. There could have been some serious wiggle room there. If there was a super to be used, if there was some more heavy ammo, that could have been the difference between victory and defeat. And now Team Bread has a really long path back to victory if they have a chance of attaining it.
They do. Now, again, we can't count Team Bread out right now. They did get beaten right now. They have been sent to the losers bracket, but they have the chance to fight against the Smugglers, get a win, and then we will see them come back to the grand finals, provided they win, for an incredible rematch. Now, no matter who goes to the grand finals, it's going to be crazy if this is the type of gameplay we're seeing out here. I just can't believe how much Benj put in work in the final hour of that game. Now, at the very beginning, his first invade, we weren't really feeling it. It wasn't super hot fire. We wanted super hot fire. It was lukewarm water from the tap.
He got a mediocre trade with a Wardcliff, which I think ended up being about as piecemeal as you can get with regards to an invade. He took out 8 motes, but by that same token, the 8 motes that were defended against and the fact that he wasn't able to get more was really problematic, because as well as that, there was a Wardcliff shot used. That's precious heavy ammo. So realistically, I think the entire problem there ended up being that the sniper duels that you had back and forth between Benj and Enigma wasn't quite able to shut them down as much. And Benj, much as he's an amazing invader, he also knows the maps, he knows the spawns like the back of his hand, and he's able to really suss out someone's positioning, even if he's a defending player.
Now, when you're dealing with an invader like Benj, like you mentioned, you have a lot of important decisions that you have to make in literally split seconds, because you have him on your half of the map. He's causing trouble. You want to be focusing on DPSing the Primeval. Now, do you get rid of him right away by burning something precious, like maybe your super, maybe your power ammo? What resources are you going to devote to getting that nuisance out of your half of the map? And everything that you throw at him is something that you can't later throw at the Primeval.
And of course, that really comes down to the game of Gambit and its dynamic. There are really 2 bosses you need to worry about, both the Primeval and the enemy invader. And in this instance, Benj was kind of a menace. He was one of those players that you were just persistently seeing to stress the other team. And I think something else that's really worth saying here as well, I think that when they were DPSing the Primeval at one of those extra phases, they were way too focused on the sprint. Because at the end of the day, when you get to this endgame moment in Gambit, it becomes this series of sprints that makes up a marathon. And it's really easy to focus on that single sprint to say, if I could just get that little bit more damage in, I could potentially kill the Primeval. But the much bigger battle is saying, there is an invader, this is now the priority, forget about the Primeval's HP, we need to focus on this. Because that's about momentum. That's about denying the enemy their chance to get back in the game.
You are so right. I've heard that Gambit Prime, and I agree completely, is essentially a long-distance run. It's a marathon when compared to regular Gambit, which is more of a sprint. And with regular Gambit, it's different. You have 3 rounds. It's first to summon the Primeval. There's less tactics involved because it's very easy to burn down a regular Gambit Prime Evil. Now in Gambit Prime, you have to pace yourself because you're going to be dealing with a ton of things. Not
That
only
thing
the
has
invader.
a lot of HP.
It's got a lot of HP. You're dealing with the big HP bar on that thick Primeval. You're dealing with the envoys, the rotating, the damage buff comes into play.
The blockers as well
The
that might be
blockers
summoned by the other
routinely
team.
ruining your day, shielding. The little goblin fivers, they're shielding the
And
Primeval.
not to mention,
no good.
previously we actually saw the Knights being the real MVPs for one of the teams there, because I believe it was Team Bread. They got funneled eventually into the sights of Benj there as he was getting one of his big kill streaks on. He was shut down by Wardcliff, but the reason why that mattered is because the Knights had all painted the target area where they were DPSing the Primeval with fire. And the problem with that super hot fire is you can't stand up against it. If you stand in it and you're not in something like a well, you're gonna take damage. You're gonna get struck. It's going to shred you, and you are going to be left on the respawn. And that leaves you as a prime target for the invader, and at the end of the day, you've not DPS'd the Primeval so much as given it breakfast.
Very well put. I think one of Team Redacted, one of their keys to success, they actually had 2 invaders. Did you know? They had Benj, and they had an army of knights. I think they paid off those knights to go over there.
Absolutely.
Now, normally, again, I like the small and medium blockers. Those captains that you can get at a
They are
10
so
mode dunk.
annoying.
They're so annoying. They can teleport everywhere, behind you, in front of you, to the side. But they really got the value out of those knights. The fire was everywhere. That's your favorite thing as an invader, is when other things in the game do your job for you.
Yeah. And aside from anything else, there's this really strong point to be made about the area denial effect on its own. I mean, goblins and captains are in themselves nasty opponents to have to deal with because of the invulnerability shielding they can give, or alternatively just the blinding effect, which makes them less aware of invaders. But realistically, denying an enemy's ability to DPS a Primeval with those knights is almost as strong. It's part of the reason why they are the large blocker. If you can cut out an entire DPS phase without even needing to have an invader over there, that's unbelievably strong. And so I believe there is a small thing to be said about having a strong invader, but using what might actually be a coherent strategy, where you come from behind and you bank a ton of large blockers and simply let them do your job for you. You let them take on the enemy team and really burn them down in the most literal of senses.
That's a very good point. I mean, one of the advantages of getting the Primeval up first is that you have the opportunity to stack damage against it before the other team. And now the downside of getting your Primeval on the field first is, like you mentioned, the other team, if they don't have the Primeval ready, that means they're still going to be banking moats. So while Team A is dealing with their Primeval, they now also have to deal with the increasing annoying problem of never-ending blockers, potentially shielding the Primeval. It's just a nuisance, and you never want to deal with it.
And that really is where it comes all the way back to the Defender, I think. The Sentry set is what's really going to help and make the difference here, because it does have all those different perks that make this a really counterable strategy. I think that there is this point to be made particularly about the perk that gives you regeneration of HP when you're close to the bank. You know, if you are a sentry and if you have the safe and sound perk, which only costs 6 armor points, by the way, so you can acquire this as a reasonably classed Reaper or Collector, you all of a sudden have this ability to hang in the center, clear those blockers, and maybe take a few more hits. And it seemed like such a small thing, but as we saw in that last game, an entire DPS cycle was lost, and one that could have been critical to burning down the Primeval early. I think realistically that's why the other team actually was able to get on the back foot, from the back foot onto the winning position there. That's why Redacted was able to bring it home. So having that sentry be more cognizant of their role, having them be closer to the bank, and being still ready to clear any of those leftover blockers is a really important part of the journey.
Now let me ask you a question. Pretend for a minute that you are on Team Bread. What are you thinking about right now? What is it that you're feeling about the last game that you just played? Because you started off really good, didn't end up getting the win. So what are you going to do differently if you were on Team Bread going into the losers final game, which is a do or die scenario?
I think that there is a really, really clear set path for them. For starters, you know what you did wrong. It was not sticking to your strengths and playing to your fundamentals and burning down the Primeval quickly enough. I think that's the way they do this. They treat this as one sprint. They don't do it as much as a marathon. They do a sprint, and they get to the end as quickly as they can. I think that's their key point at which they need to identify what went wrong. The invasion was the point at which it got bad. But, more importantly, they need to not think about the rest of the tournament going forth. This is the point at which they need to get out of their heads. They need to make sure they're there in the room facing off against the next team. Because if they let that win from the enemy, weigh them down, and if they think, oh man, now I'm in the losers brackets, I could leave, they're not going to be able to perform as well. There is a real anxiety to playing in this bracket now, and one of these teams is not coming back.
That's a really tough mental aspect of the game that not a lot of people think about, because you're out here trying to hone your strategy, making sure that you are playing at absolute peak performance. But you have a chip on your shoulder. You have this rain cloud over your head. You just lost in the winners finals. Now, if you lose, you're out of the tournament. So you have to do two things at the same time. You have to focus on what you could have done better. What are your core strategies going into the next game so that you can win? And also trying to shake off the bad vibes that are now on your back, because you want to do the absolute best that you can here.
Absolutely. I think that this is one of those key points as well, at which you've got to really hand it to the other side of the team. If we could really quickly see the losers bracket, we actually have, of course, the Bristol teams coming forward, and of course we saw the Bristol Smugglers come to the conclusion there as the winners for the losers round 4 final there. But the thing is, the Smugglers now have this amazing opportunity, right? It is a strong path they need to climb, and it's going to be really difficult for them to get there because they need to beat Team Bread, who have, as we've said so many times this tournament, amazing fundamentals. They're so good at what they know what they're doing with. You have to really focus down that team. You need to make sure you stress them. You need to make sure you break them apart, and you need to make them play to your strengths and play to their weaknesses. But if the Smugglers can make it through, they can potentially work their way into that winner's grand final. And the amazing thing about that, even though it's a really tough road, is they're going to have that momentum going forward. They've won all their games today. And that means they will be in a grand position to try and come back from all this.
They have an excellent position to be in. They have the high ground, Anakin. They have won their games. They are sitting pretty in grand finals, waiting for their challenger to approach them. Now, what they have to make sure they don't do
is underestimate their power.
Absolutely correct. If you get a little too full of yourself after your most recent victory, you might get to be a little sloppy, bud.
You might try and do that somersault and end up falling into a bunch of lava.
Where have I heard that story before?
I don't know.
Game of Thrones, is that it?
Yeah,
I
Game
think
of
that
Thrones.
was it.
Absolutely. Clearly, we've got to see Game of Thrones being reenacted here. This is the thing. This is, I think, is the story of Team Bread. Maybe if they make it back into that grand final, this is their redemption arc, you know? It's like the Targaryens being kicked out and then coming back and burning the enemy team down. Maybe that's the victory they're going to serve them. Can you imagine how poetic that justice will be if all of a sudden they make it back into the grand finals and one of the key primeval damage phases sees them summoning a ton of extra large blockers, and then the other team gets burned down and they're able to take a win from that? Can you imagine if that was how the brackets got reset? That would be the story right there. That would be heroic no matter what happens at the very end.
I'm going to call it right now. No matter what we see, I know it's never going to happen. Can we get one moment where
the invader
puts out multiple thick, big chungus level 20 blockers?
I wasn't thinking of this, but yes, absolutely.
That needs to happen. It's never going to happen. I think that we don't see that at this level of play because it's incredibly risky.
It is risky because 20 motes down. I mean, think about this. 25 motes is an invasion. 50 motes is the second. 75 is the third.
Correct.
But the most important thing to note about this is that if you have all of that banked on just the one player and they're a little bit out of position, you're done, practically speaking. 20 motes genuinely is the difference between 5% extra damage on the primeval and being in that leading position. And that's what we saw break down the Bristol Brawlers in that first game that we played today. And it wasn't down to someone killing a giant blocker, but it was one of those really close scenarios. And that's why I think a lot of people have been sort of putting the collector sets on the back burner. But it is high-risk, high-reward strategy. And the reward of that comes, of course, from the fact that the 20-mote blocker can block the entire bank all on its own. It is basically a second invader with a full armor set and tether. And that one is also something to consider, because if you are trying to take it out really quickly, as super players often are prone to do, you got an even bigger problem, because if you get, torn out of your super there, that's no orbs of light for your teammate, you've just been taken down, you're weak, you're vulnerable, you can't move, and that particular enemy has a nasty splash damage weapon that it will just be able to pepper the ground around you with. There is a real danger aspect to a giant blocker coming out.
It is massively risky. The definition of high risk, high reward. I don't think we're going to see it, but I can dream. A man can dream.
One of these days, we will see 4 giant blockers being summoned at a Gambit final. I wonder, this would be one of those amazing moments, despite the fact I don't think they can actually do too much of this, because they are going to be locked into their loadouts by the minute they start this game. But can you imagine if the Bristol Smugglers decide to do that? They go in with 4 different sets that are all stuck to Collector, and then all of a sudden it's just, oh, they just dropped 80 motes in the bank.
What is happening right now?
And there is a little bit of a strat to that, because if they can somehow keep their team not so brittle, if they can defend against that first invade, and if they can get all of them down really quickly, there is potential for that. And hell, they didn't even need to bank all of those at once. If they just get one there, that's going to be a significant problem for the enemy team to deal with. And I think that could be their way of getting in the door. This multiple collector strat is also not a terrible one because it keeps you shielded all the time. You've got your umbral armor from picking up a ton of motes. That's really good.
Now, I think if we ever come across a scenario where 4 players on one team at this level of tournament drop 4 level 20 blockers in at one time, that is an automatic forfeit on behalf of the other team, right? They just have to put the controller or the mouse.
It's an assertion of dominance.
Put the keyboard away. The game is over. 80 motes? No, I don't think so. The match is officially over.
They're T-posing on the enemy team. That's what they'd be doing.
They're styling.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not quite the Knights dropping the hot fire, but let me tell you, when they're suppressing the other team, that's going to be real troublesome too, because the other team is then going to be stuck with a very high damage Primeval, and then all of a sudden, those blockers come along. You've got those thick boys trundling all over your DPS zone too. There's something else we didn't discuss earlier about them as well. They do have the giant Phalanx shield that is a taken Phalanx shield, and it will boop you out. And that's going to be a real problem for everyone, because all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself flying into a wall at 10,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, the big blocker does bring hardcore boopage to the table. Now, I think mostly what we've been seeing today, and I think what we will continue to see, is that these teams, right off the bat, very organized, very coordinated with their moat dunking. We have seen teams dunking 25 on the dot. They are not going to carry any more than that. Even though it's very fun to drop off a possible big boy or multiple big boys, you want to get 25 into the bank no matter what, any way possible, immediately, because 25 opens up that door for invade number 1. You want to get your invader out there on the enemy's field as quickly as you can every time.
Now, beyond that, I think there's a certain degree of strategy to it, because yes, the first invade is really important and it can set you on the foot forward, but I think there is a further strategy to this, and hear me out. You let the other team bank just a little bit after that. Let's say you're ahead and you've got 30 motes banked and they have something like, say, 15. That's the point at which you want to go ahead and stress them with yet more blockers. And the reason being, of course, is because if 2 or more blockers are deployed, motes will drain from the enemy team's bank into yours. So there is a certain point to be made for having a little bit more of a strong defense, countering their blockers and then immediately thrusting everything back to them. There's a jujitsu action to it, where you use their momentum against you, you deny any of the strikes against yourself that get put forward, and with all of that you then have this amazing opportunity to fight back. I think that that's something that really could determine the pace of a game, because then you're seeing their motes drain, they come to your bank too, and you're even closer to your next invade.
Absolutely. It's every single decision being made at this level is critical. Nothing has been left to chance on paper for these teams. They have their strategies. They know exactly what is going on. They have everything written down. We want the quick invade. We want to do this at this level of motes. We want to do that. The strategies have been formed. They just have to now execute. And every tiny decision that you make can either make or break the game.
And of course, it is one of those moments where the best laid of plans don't always come to pan out. After all, this is Gambit, you have the enemy invader, you have blockers, you have the ads, which can sometimes pose a problem. Let's say you're going up against Cabal. Scorpius turrets are a terrible thing. Let's say you're going up against Hive. Shriekers are a terrible thing. You want to talk about enemies that will really troll the hell out of you? Let's talk about a pair of servitors that might be making each other immune perpetually. There are things that can go wrong in Gambit that you just can't prepare for.
Do you think we're going to find any teams fighting Scorn out there today? Because we have yet to see any Scorn. Is this going to be kind of like an unspoken rule between any team that competes out there today? Hey, bro, no Scorn.
No Scorn.
No Scorn,
right?
bro.
Nobody likes the Scorn.
What
Nobody wants them. Screebs are terrible. Screebs are infinitely
well,
worse than Curse. Like, Screeb even itself sounds like the trolliest kind of way of putting something. You know,
Yeah.
You could say it in a really high-pitched voice, and then it perfectly describes the sound that you make as you die.
You know, fun fact, I heard from a developer at Bungie that they didn't actually even plan on creating the Scorn for D2. They just came into the studio one day, and there was a satanic book on the floor, open to the middle with pages torn out, chalk on the floor, and the Scorn were just there in the game. They didn't add those in, Bife.
And they thought, well, I mean, you know, we'll turn over the page and make the darkness, but...
We're hearing the dings in the background.
The team in the back is going with the dings. It looks like it is indeed going to be Cabal here, and this is Team Bread versus the Bristol Smugglers.
All right, we got an invader with...
Oh, look at that sink! Every time the Bristol Smugglers absolutely have it down with their emotes.
I gotta give them the Spirit Award.
Look at that.
I love the
That's
coordination.
wonderful. God, you really can't beat that.
No. So here we have the Redrix's broadsword in the hands of the invader. I happen to love that weapon. For those of you who might not be familiar at home, that pulse rifle, a PvP pinnacle weapon. Now when you activate that perk, the rate of fire goes through the roof. So if you're using that gun in its normal state, nothing really to write home about, Bife. But you get that baby dialed up to 11 and you can carve through an entire enemy team.
Alexa, it's so sad the enemy team is dead. Please play Desperado. In the meantime, though, over here with Team Bread, Enigma and the other team members for Bread are really knocking things down. They're almost at 25. They are now there. Everyone is really quickly going to probably head to the bank and deploy all of their moats. Maybe they'll wait for a few more blockers. It's not totally clear. Either way, Enigma is ready. And the sniper right there.
I think we're going for a team dunk. Are we going to get 25 on the field right away? Yes, we are.
26 on the field, and the moats are already draining. There's blockers on the other side. It means that the Bristol Smugglers will not be able to bank, and they have moats. They have all of these moats, and it looks like they're now on the sniper's firing line.
Oh, God.
A barricade has been deployed, and it looks like they're going to be cowering behind it for the time being. Sniper shots going off, but nothing connects just yet. Sniper now moving down to a lower level. They're in the Radial Warrior. They will be taking damage. Oh no! Disastrous start for Enigma there. Such an incredible opportunity to capitalize on that invade. Now it looks like the Smugglers are going to be dealing it right back.
Here we go. We got another machine gun on the field. My favorite type of invade. Let's see if we can get some bullet lasering across the map. Going for one pick. There it is.
Thunderlord laying down fire. That's one death. Now that's two. No moats lost just yet. 3 down.
Go for the 4. Go for the 4. Go deep.
The 4th. Go into the spawn. You know you want to do it. You know you want to do it. They're now with a player behind them, but the other team is completely oblivious to the fact this invader's out in the field. Oh, 4th player not found.
Ring around the rosy there for a minute.
Incredible. Now it does look like the other team is going to be pulling everything back with regards to the momentum here. Bristol Smugglers really do have themselves in a nice position. They'll be able to get that second invade up now, and it does look like we're going to see some strong plays because they have the ability to capitalize on whatever small gains have been made.
The Smugglers could have been so much more behind. The Team Bread, they invaded right away. The Smugglers had 3 moats in the bank, and they had a thick gray bar, and they just could not, Team Bread could not pull off the invade. They couldn't get the kills that they needed.
And here they go. Ooh, it looks like he's taking the portal. Oh dear, Exalted PvP coming down here. Going to be trying to use the Redrix Broadsword, I believe, instead of the Claymore here. I'm going to presume it's the Broadsword at least.
We got a
going for a 13-moat player.
Here.
They're hiding. Oh no, they're getting flanked by Machine Gun. Hammerhead cutting them down. Exalted PvP not able to get a kill there. Enigma taking them to task.
Excellent flank. Again, as the invader, you have to pay attention to all things. Sometimes you can have those blinders on, and you are only focused on that player with the high moat count. That's all you can think about. You need to get there and pick them off, but you forget about the other people on the team, and you get flanked out of nowhere, and just like that, invasion gone.
It's such a key skill as an invader, this ability to discern between a target that's really good and tasty versus a target that's going to kill you. And it does look like, again, the Smugglers have another invade, and they have 2 blockers up. This is incredible. Looks like Enigma's back, pulling that sniper rifle out. Oh no, but being flanked from the side, just about survives Thunderlord fire. They're going to be really low on HP, and that means they're going to lose about 10 seconds of this invade, but they're not going to get left alone. Oh, the Blade Barrage in response! That's beautiful. Enigma with at least 1 kill coming out of this one. Then getting sent home. It's not perfect, it is not an ideal situation, but Bread at very least was able to make something out of that invade.
Now Team Bread at this point, they are noticeably behind. They are at 45 moats banked to a whopping 97. I think that the Smugglers are about to get their Primeval on the field, and they just have. Bread really needs to come together and focus if they want to try and bring this game back.
That HVT that just went down on Bread's side might be the difference between getting back in this game and not being able to, but the Smugglers have their Primeval up now, and 2 Envoys are dead. The 3rd Envoy is going to be spawning right here and right now. Even with an Invader present on their side, they're in a really commanding lead. The other team has only 73 odd moats banked, and 1 enemy going down there. Enigma looking for a second pickup here. Remember, these kills aren't necessarily going to heal the Primeval, but it's definitely going to put the enemy on the back foot.
You want to slow the enemy team down by any means necessary, even if you can't heal the Primeval. Any second that you can put back on the clock, holding the other
it's
team
the
back
sword!
from damaging the Primeval. Here comes the sword!
The true hero of this Gambit tournament, the Stronghold Sword Sentry. Look at that, just cutting down those enemy blockers. Beautiful stuff. He clears the bank.
Unbelievable.
I cannot believe it. Could we see a sword within the Grand Finals? Could we see a Sword Sentry in these Grand Finals? They're burning down their Primeval. Tiny bit of damage, only one stack.
Now
Not
the
too bad.
Smugglers have gone through their #1 stack of Primeval damage. If they play their cards right, if they do everything perfect here, they might have an opportunity at Primeval Slayer #2 to lock in the win and burn down their Primeval.
But here comes that invade. Enigma's back, and they're out for blood. And all the enemy is in their sightlines. That's
here
one
we
player
go.
down. Oh no, but they get cut down by again another Thunderlord in return, and now they're damaging Primeval on Bread's side. Something to be done about that. They are starting to burn quite significantly. Cryptarch's camera coming over here. He's trying to get all that damage in, but an invade has just come back.
Wait a minute, what is happening right now?
Oh my goodness.
Here we go. The Smugglers are
Bristol
going for the
Smugglers
shred.
going
They're
for the win! And the Smugglers have taken down the
There it is.
Primeval!
Wow.
Bristol Smugglers with the heroic story going to the Grand Finals, taking out Team Bread. Every single game of the day has been a win, and the Smugglers will be facing off against Team Redacted in the finals of the Gambit Prime Arena Cup.
Are we in the middle of a Cinderella story right now, Bife? Are we
think
going
we
to see
might
the
be.
Smugglers go all the way, carving their way up through the losers finals, going into the grand finals? Look at them, they're hyped up. They're hugging each other, they're jumping around. They know they did a good
I've got to
job.
say this though, real respect to both the teams. They're going back there, they're shaking hands, they're saying well done to each other. Real sportsmanship on display here.
That's exactly what you want to see. This is the hardest moment of the tournament for a lot of people because you put everything you have into trying to get that W. You work with your team. You're putting in the practice. You're putting yourself on the line, trying to do everything you can to get the win. Oh my gosh, the
A
players
Bristol
are still popping
Smuggler,
off over
you
here.
can't see this on camera, but a Bristol Smuggler player literally just jumped into
Just
the
jumping
arms of
into
their
each other's
friend in
arms.
celebration.
But yeah, you know, you really want to give respect to both teams that play, either win or lose, because that's what it's all about. It's all about good sportsmanship. This ain't no online Blueberry trash talk fest. We're out here face to face with your friends, with your opponents. You want to try and get the win, celebrate with your team, but give a hearty handshake to those who do their best.
Celebrate the fallen as much as you beat them into the ground. Now I have to ask, speaking of those who got beaten, Team Bread put up a really fierce fight there, but it was very close to it. They almost got enough Primeval damage to compete there, but in the end, Bristol Smugglers did win out. Now, what do you reckon, Fallen, are the real key reasons why Bread wasn't able to make it? What were the real things they need to learn from that last game when they go back into Gambit when they're playing Destiny
That
outside
is
of this
a
tournament?
terrific point. I have to say that one of the huge pieces to them not winning, I think, was that very first invade. Now, they did an excellent job. They gathered motes in an instant. They had 25 raring to go. The other team only had 3. They sent their invader in. There was a gigantic gray bar. If they had succeeded right there off the
It
bat,
would have been a completely different story.
it would have been an entirely different game. They failed that invade, unfortunately for them. Didn't waste anybody. They got picked off, sent home with no reward. And you know what? When you get sent back with no reward like that, you're shooting your own team in the foot because that player could have been helping to collect motes.
And then the incredible thing about that invade and how risky that Bank 25 strat really is the fact that then there's that big momentum swing. Because following up after that, the Bristol Smugglers immediately banked all of their motes. They had
Right
25
away.
and they sent an invade in. Now, they didn't do too much with that invade because all the other motes were banked, but that was enough time to put the enemy on the bank foot. And more importantly, the blockers were down there draining motes from Team Bread's bank, and that's the real win there. Because when you have 4 blockers and the enemy team is nowhere to clear them, you're just going to be casually gaining motes and getting towards your next invasion. And that's going to be a big momentum thing in its own.
You're exactly right. Team Bread went all in right away with that play. It did not pan out for them. And again, the other team, because they managed to fight off their invader effectively, they lose nothing. Absolutely nothing. They have all the time in the world. They can dunk their motes right away, send all those taken all the way back to the other side of the map, and then they can counter-invade. So I think what Bread needed to do right there was have a stronger invade off the bat. That's definitely not the only factor on the table that caused that loss, but it was a very noticeable mistake in their opening gameplay.
I mean, let's make no mistake here as well. Enigma is a fantastic invader, and that's very clear. But I think one of the really interesting things is whilst they were able to compete with Benj on the other side while facing off against Redacted, and in all fairness, gave Benj a run for his money, there was this problematic moment when Enigma would be up against the entire enemy team, wouldn't be able to get their first hit in, would just about kill one person, have another damage. By that point, the enemy invader, who is still defending with their team at this moment, is stuck with them, has lasered in on them with Thunderlord. And at that point, when you've got Hammerhead versus Thunderlord and you're trying to do the damage, there isn't really a contest. You've lost some HP, you're no longer damaging that one player. It is simply a case of you are going to, by the numbers, fall down and die. Even with your invader overshield, you had an entire team shooting back at you. And I think that's where all of it really does stack up. It's really about that team play from the Bristol Smugglers.
The Smugglers did a fantastic job. Every time the invader from Team Bread came in, the Smugglers were ready. There was not one time I can remember where the Smugglers were caught off guard and that Bread really took it to them in the invade session. Now, they had 1 or 2 picks here and there, but for the most part, it's like something you see out of the Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
A polar bear is trying to go in to get a walrus for a kill, and the walrus is all kind of huddled together in a massive wall of blubber and tusks.
You don't want to go there. Those tusks are sharp.
Blubber and tusks, baby. And they were just doing an excellent job of fending and fencing out the invader. They kept their composure. They turned their attention to the invader right away, killed the invader, carry on with DPSing the Primeval, and that's exactly what they needed to do.
Now, Polar Bear may not have been the invader on that particular team going up against the walruses of the Bristol Smugglers, but I feel like that's an incredibly apt analogy all the same. They were just this constant, omnipresent, omniscient defense, where whenever somebody invaded, they only had a certain amount of time before the defense coalesced and everybody put fire on them and just shut them out entirely. And there were some really fantastic plays generally. There was a really keen knowledge on the other team with the Bristol Smugglers of when was the right time to push the invader. You had, I believe it was the second invade from Enigma, when they got completely and utterly shut down in the opening. They wouldn't even have needed to kill Enigma with that particular Thunderlord. It would have needed to be something truly spectacular for them to need to finish them off. Because at that point, they're on a hunter, they've all of a sudden lost half their HP, it's going to take 10 seconds or so for that to regen fully, and then they only have 8 seconds left on that invade. So realistically, no matter what happened, it would have needed to be balls to the wall play in order to actually get that done. So I think I got to say it, congratulations to the Bristol Smugglers, you guys did an amazing job. Commiserations to Team Bread, excellent work as well.
Now, we have to tell you that we are not done with this tournament yet. We have the grand finals coming up, and that is going to be the Smugglers versus Team Redacted.
Team Redacted.
It's going to be a great match. It's going to be best of 3. I wonder if the Smugglers will be able to reset the bracket. It's going to be incredible Gambit action. So right now, we are about to go ahead and take a quick intermission. So don't go anywhere unless it's to get a drink or a snack. Come on back. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Stick around. Hey there, I told you we'd be back. You know, we wouldn't be gone for too long. That would be messed up. We got more Gambit to watch, Bife. So we are back here at the Belong Gaming Arena in beautiful Nottingham, England. Crowd, give me some noise.
Crowd, give us some noise, guys. Come on. You can do better
There
than
it
that.
is. All right. They all had to put their drinks down to make the noise.
God, I'm so jealous right now. We're currently stone cold sober up here casting these games of Gambit. When we're done with this, we're going to go straight to the bar and grab some of those amazing cocktails.
Absolutely.
I actually put my order in just now, and I'm going to get a Reaper, which is one of these very tropical kind of cocktails with a bunch of rum.
Is it green?
I don't think it's green. Maybe it's green. It should be green. If it's not green, I'll be very disappointed.
There you go. Remember, drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly, Guardians.
So we're back here at the Gambit Prime Arena Cup tournament in Nottingham. This is great. We're about to...
Oh,
we have a menu.
Oh, we have a menu?
Here, peruse this menu.
Yeah, well, okay. I don't know. You're not going to see this, but I'm just going to throw this off stage.
Do it
For the
dramatically. I'll describe it.
Oh.
I mean,
Do it dramatically?
I won't. Yeah, do it dramatically. Throw it back there.
Thou hast betrayed me.
Begone, vile
Begone, menu. We need you not here. Return to your people at the bar.
Anyway, thank you for bearing with us during these technical difficulties. You know, these things happen, right, Bife?
I mean, you know, we've had a few technical difficulties here and there throughout the entire tournament, but it's not ruined the fun. We had the first game disconnect off the bat. We had some moments at which it took a few times here or there to connect to the next match, but we still had a really good time, and we've seen some amazing games of Gambit. Everyone has gone through and done their required games. Everything is looking fantastic for this grand finals as well.
Absolutely. Okay, we have our two teams, I think, loading in right now.
If I'm not mistaken,
really hype.
The map is going to be New Arcadia.
Do tell.
Now, I actually really love New Arcadia. I think it's one of the better maps they added for Gambit Prime in the Season of the Drifter, and the reason why is twofold. First of all, you have the moving platform that brings you from the bank into the center, and that divide really does help you change up the gameplay style for the map. But more than just that, you actually have something bigger, and that is the two teleporters on either end of the map. Everybody is saying the dings. Oh, it's Cabal again.
That's how
Cabal again?
That's how you really know the game is about to begin.
Oh,
Not because we're
the
telling you
emotes.
the game is about to begin, because we can hear the dings coming from the back player room. Look at this.
There we
Is
go.
this the key to their victory right now?
And on the other side,
strength?
with Team Redacted, the enemy sentry is just shaking their head
Shaking his head. He
furiously.
doesn't want any of it. Oh, look at what the invader's leg is going crazy there. What's happening?
Ooh, there we go. And here we arrive on the dusty, icy plains of Mars. New Arcadia, going to be around the Clovis Bray research facility where you can find Rasputin himself.
Well, that would be surprising, Fife. So here we go. We got a big boy target right away, getting shredded by that full auto shotgun. That's a very helpful weapon to have
And the
right off
Bristol
the bat, because you want to
Smugglers
just
here.
absolutely carve through your enemies and get those moats as quickly as you can.
And they're collecting really fast on the smugglers here. They're almost at 25.
They're
and if they
moving at
take
light
those, they
speed.
can go ahead and get that first bank. Do you reckon there's actually some deliberate strategy here to bank second on the side of Redacted? Because we saw this strategy work out previously, and it might be what they're trying to do.
Now that is a risky gambit indeed, my friend. Intentionally banking second to try and bait the other team in, maybe mess up their invade a little, what we saw before.
Ooh, a small
Oh, here we
blocker,
go.
medium blocker, and another small blocker coming
Look
in.
at this,
The
Spike.
invasion is starting, but it looks like the only invading weapon here is a Redrick's broadsword.
Hey, that might be all he needs right now.
Oh, no, he's
popping
out
through
of
the teleporter,
special
but he has
ammo.
no shotgun ammo. What's he going to
No
do?
shotgun ammo. Looks like he's going to have to chase this invasion. Oh, dear. No,
Oh.
he doesn't choose to go through the teleporter, which is potentially a very smart move. They could be ready for him on the other side, prepared for the defending team. To be really aggressive is actually one of those things that a good invader might be able to suss out. But it does look like this invasion is not going to do that much. He's going to go through, give it a shot anyway, but he's too far away, I think, to do anything, and he's going to go back to his side with nothing except time spent.
You know, that is breaking my wee little heart, but it is tragic to see. You had everything lined up right there for a great invasion. They had 25 moats right away to the other team's 0, and they ran in, but the
Oh,
invader
here
had no
comes
ammo.
Benj! He's bringing his sniper.
Oh, here we go.
And
There's a
that's
headshot.
One down immediately. No moats on that player, but still a lot of momentum lost with every single player that dies. Throwing the nade out there, not getting too much. Ace of Spades coming in.
Get another
Jotun
kill.
shot. He tanks the entire thing. Remember, the invader's overshield with
Oh!
armor is bigger and better than the others. Gets another player, but then gets shut down.
Did he just throw a handful of knives into that other player's face?
A fan of knives, as one might say. I do believe he is indeed one of those also.
You know, they say that the tri-knife is mightier than the gun. I think I read that somewhere.
Absolutely. All I know is I get solo blade barraged all the time in Gambit, and that seems pretty strong to me, Chief.
So here we have the Smugglers up 53-31, a very powerful lead right away. This is fantastic. Do you think they could take this momentum forward and possibly reset the bracket?
It is a really
Dare
important
I
part of
say?
the game. Invasion going on, though.
Oh, man.
And it looks like Benj gets the kill there, shutting down the Smugglers invade. And it looks like
are
Redacted
seeing-
is going to go bank here.
What's happening right now?
This is
Okay.
going to be the invade, hopefully. We might. Yep, Benj is
There
back
we
on the
go.
other side. And the enemy team with Smugglers has a ton of moats. This could be really dangerous. If he focuses on those two in the back, he might be able to get them. He's going to need to go for the portal to reach them in time. They're all hiding at the back of the map, but this could be disastrous with the Blade Barrage! He misses just
it.
Incredible heartbreak there as he just about misses the player who had all 15 of those motes, and now he's getting chased by the enemy team. Doesn't get a single kill, shut down by the smugglers. This is disastrous for Redacted.
This is incredible. I can't remember the last time I saw this many invades were on the cusp of being great, and they just couldn't get there. They couldn't get over the finish line.
Now, they've got to be really careful with this one. Benj has a chance here to shut down if he invades again, which I believe he is going to do momentarily. The smugglers have their own invasion up, but there is going to be a real problem here because you have momentum on the side of the smugglers. Benj shutting down, though. An excellent defensive play there. The sniper rifle of his is an excellent tool because his armor is actually his own on PC. And he has all of the right perks. Enhanced sniper rifle aim is on his helmet, which is going to mean he's got better target acquisition, less flinch, and more accuracy on that. Now he goes in for the invade.
Oh, get that headshot.
Oh, the choke!
His ultimate enemy was gravity by backed off that staircase.
Oh no, and now that they know that he's invading and they're just not engaging. Smugglers are playing this almost perfectly. They're not even choosing to give him a chance.
Boom, headshot.
He gets one headshot there. Benj proving he still has teeth. He is a bear. He is indeed able to put the smugglers to task. They just need to be very careful with their invade. He is not going to get any motes with this one, though. He's only slowed them down. But Redacted has been able to catch up, and now they have a Primeval.
That might have been all they needed. Again, he didn't spill a lot of motes onto the floor, but that's okay. You're tripping up the enemy team by just you being there, by you disrupting their flow. And now they have their Primeval, and of course, the smugglers are playing from behind now. Of course, they have their Primeval now too. They're a little bit behind, you know? Like, they need to make up for lost time right now.
And also, the blockers are causing some trouble here, despite the fact... Oh, I think this might be a bit of a mistake here.
Wait a minute, what are we seeing? They are wasting power and energy ammo on the Primeval for wave 1.
This is a fundamental mistake, I think, here. You need that for ×2 and ×3 stacks. You need to use that later down the line. And also, Benj has just activated the portal. He's invaded over on the smuggler's side again. They're not going to have ammo to deal with him. They only have primary for the most part.
Maybe it could be all part of the Redacted plan. Maybe they know something we don't. You know, we might be frowning on the fact that they're burning power ammo early, but there could be a method to their madness.
Oh, indeed. But it does look like the Redacted plan includes Benj going in there and invading, and certainly he has 2 kills, pulling it together. 3rd kill coming in, potentially. This could be a super. He shuts it down before it lands. Almost gets the 4th, almost gets the kill, but teleported back to his side. The Drifter says, that's enough, Benj. Don't scare him too much.
Well done to Benj, showing everyone why he is #1. But now we have Exalted back on the field, going for an invade. He's got the heavy machine gun. He can't quite finish. Can he close out this kill?
Oh, the return Blade Barrage! Benj says no. This is ours to kill. Redacted are going to try and put them down. They now have extra stacks of Primeval damage. They got this out first, and they really do have the chance to put the hurt on smugglers here. The next invade is not going to be up for quite some time. They could do some serious DPS here. They might be already too late.
Here we go. We have the smugglers at a Primeval Slayer #2. They're going for the slay. Here comes the Primeval health. It's starting to burn down a little bit more. Both teams, I think, are going for the shred right now.
Yep, it's going to be close. It's a race, neck and neck, but it looks like Redacted is going to pull it out just in time. Redacted getting that first Primeval kill. That is 1-0 to Redacted, and if they win the next game, that's entirely it. Redacted wins the entirety of the grand final.
That would be all she wrote. All they need is one more win under their belt. Hey, they knew something that we didn't there, Biff. They went in and they were burning up energy ammo, burning power ammo. Why were they doing that at wave 1? But it didn't matter to them. They got the win anyway. Are they acting cocky right now? Are they confident? Is this part of their plan that we might not know about?
I don't know, but by that same token, I feel as though there's still a decent chance for the smugglers here. They had a really strong opening performance in that game. They were ahead on motes. They consistently banked before the invasion got in. They made Benji suffer because they saw that he was going to be the player they needed to take out. They burned a Blade Barrage and no one died. They made sure they put their 0-mote players between him and their many-mote players. They played it almost as perfectly as you could have in that opening and middle stage of Gambit games. You took the enemy invader and you put your highest priority targets as far away from them as possible. They knew exactly when he was going to come out of the pool. They knew exactly where they needed to place their players. They knew exactly who needed to engage to stop him from really making progress. And that's how you shut down a really good invader. You work as a team.
Well put. Both teams are playing incredibly defensively right now. They're not taking any chances. As soon as that invader comes into the field, their entire mindset changes. on a dime. They are all dropping what they're doing. They are focusing on that invader. Where is the invader? Can we target them together as a team? Because they know that if they let that invader trounce all over their team, they are going to be at a significant disadvantage. That's why we're seeing so much defensive play on the field today. Invaders will go in. They'll try and do their best, but every now and then you get that really defensive team coming together and bam, shutting them down right away.
And this is the other thing. I need to ask this generally because it's something I've seen from all of the invaders just a little bit. I think some of them are getting a little bit gun-shy. We've seen both Enigma from Team Red earlier in the day and Benj getting really aggressive even when they have their sniper rifles out. But I think the really interesting thing here is the times when they've chosen not to engage. I think the invaders can't afford to do this now. They've got to get in there. They've got to be able to chase the high-priority targets. They've got to be able to deflect enemy invading players as efficiently as well, but more importantly than all of that, they have to use those invades effectively, and I don't think we're seeing them play to their max potential. They need to be more aggressive than this.
I would agree. We had that heartbreaking moment where we watched an invader about to pull off a beautiful snipe against a easy, free gliding warlock, and what happened? He fell backwards off a staircase. What are we watching right now?
Gravity. Oof. Truly, 'tis the greatest enemy of every Guardian that has lived or died. Probably died, considering the jumping puzzles in so many raids.
Pour one out
unfortunate.
in the chat right now.
Absolutely.
So now, we are moving on to Game 2 of Grand Finals. And again, if Team Redacted gets the win right here, the tournament is over. They are locking up the win clean and easy, being the dominant force through this tournament bracket all through today. Now, the Smugglers have a chance at winning, but now they are very much playing from behind.
They're on the back foot. They've just lost their first game of the day. They're just seeing what the real metal of Redacted is like. And more importantly than all of that, they need to win the next 2 games to even clean the bracket out and make sure it's equalized. They reset it only if they win the next 2 games. That's a huge problem for them because they now need to win the next 4 games in a row to win the tournament. That's going to be a huge problem. Maybe not 4 games in a row. As long as they win the next 2.
2 in a row.
They reset the bracket.
And then 2
they
more.
then need to win 2 more after that when they're in the true Grand Finals. But realistically, that's still a really slim path to victory. They need to win 4 games. Redacted needs to clinch a win here or potentially 2 if they do bring it back. It's a really, really slim path to victory.
And you know that that information is weighing so heavily on the minds of the players right now. They know exactly where they are. They haven't forgotten. Of course, they are focusing on their overall team strategy, their overall team synergy. And look at the...
Oh my goodness.
They're in good spirits over there.
It looks like Team Redacted is just dancing and laughing and celebrating with each other.
And that's exactly where you want to be right now. You don't want to be the team playing from the behind position because you know you have a gigantic mountain to climb. Team Redacted is sitting pretty at the top of the mountain right now. They just need 1 game left. They're literally singing songs in there right now. You think we're making this up? We wouldn't lie to you.
No, look at it. You can see it right there. And more importantly than all of that, I hear that Benj is an excellent vocalist. So, I mean, you know, why shouldn't he be lead singer of this band?
Look at the comparison. This is crazy in the mental aspect of the game. We have one team, they're happy, they're singing songs, all smiles and laughing.
And the other side, steely staring. Constant focus.
They are
absolutely unbroken.
They're in the zone right now. They're trying to focus so hard because they know exactly what is on the line right now. If they lose this game, they are going home.
And it's going to be rough. And here we are yet again on the Derelict. This may be the final match of the day. We have the Bristol Smugglers playing against the Cabal and, of course, their opponents, Team Redacted.
But mostly the Cabal.
Mostly the Cabal. I mean, you know, the Phalanxes, as per usual, are just...
Here we go. They're rocking their coordinated guitar smash.
There they go again. Smashing the guitar, doing everything they do.
I think they have to smash a little harder in order to get the advantage this time. Do you think that's the key to them winning? Maybe smashing a little harder?
Oh, the crowd is getting a little rowdy here.
Getting a little rowdy out here.
Drifter dropping them in on Legion's Folly. Nessus will be the battle that determines this. This could be where it all ends. This could be where the Smugglers are shut down and Redacted clinches the final victory here.
Do or die for the Smugglers. They are coming out strong here, laying waste to the Cabal right away. You notice that they're not picking up moats right away. They are activating their Redrix's broadsword. They're trying to get as much damage out onto the field as possible. Shotguns are being fired full auto. They're going totally ham. They want to make sure that they are picking up every single moat as quickly as they can so they can get to that plus 25 right away and get the first invasion of the game.
And yet again, they're ahead on moats, and now they're all heading to their bank. They're going to throw those in there, they're going to get some blockers out, and hopefully their invader is going to have a chance. 27 moats in the bank, 3 blockers at Redacted's bank, and now the invasion begins. But Redacted were waiting for them. They now have that chance to shut them down. Benj coming up on top, but his sniper rifle's not going to be as useful at close range. His hand cannon, though, might just be enough, though. Benj gets shut down, but the invader on the side of Smugglers is going to be incredibly weak. Healing Rift going down. It's going to get them back in the action much more quickly, but they need to get those moats now. Smugglers have the chance to shut them down, and they have the momentum. A second invade could be coming up any moment now.
Look, that first invade, relatively strong. They didn't get a team wipe by any means. Only one player picked off.
Oh, here comes Benj. He's got that
Benj.
sniper rifle out. He's looking for a target. 0 moats there, but ooh, misses the headshot. That's going to be disastrous in a certain respect. His position has now been revealed. The information has been passed on to the other smugglers. And look, this is the sword. This is the hero moment we've been waiting for. The stronghold sword combo. It gets used in what might be the last game.
Are we going to see it? I think he's being chased right now.
Ooh.
What is going on
Oh
over here?
no, he's found
What are
them.
you
He's
doing?
found the moats. And he blade barrages, and yet one of them... Unbelievable. He doesn't kill both of them with a blade barrage. Benj gets sent back home. He does get one of the kills, though. And this, I think, is one of those points at which the strategy of the smugglers starts to fall apart. They can't afford to just sit there. They've got to be able to engage if the time comes.
A little bit. You have to make the decision for your team. Do you want to challenge the invader together and risk losing your momentum, risk getting set back and picked off? Or are you going to hide at the back of the map and possibly play the clock, let the invader get beaten by time itself?
Oh, Brain Monster here going in and facing up against a lot of ads. They've all been shredded now, but you've got to be really careful when engaging, especially against those Cabal shotguns. It is a very dangerous proposition going in against such CQC opponents with such deadly force. You can lose all of your HP in the blink of an eye, and you can think, what killed me? Was it an invader? No, it was just the Cabal.
This is exactly where you do not want to be in the game when you have 15 moats with an invader on your tail.
Wow.
What's going to happen
is
here?
going to be coming forward. It's probably Benj. In fact, it's almost undoubtedly going to be Benj. Oh my goodness,
Wow.
the counterplay! Fist of Havoc trying to take Benj out, but Benj knows what he's doing. He had the Blade Barrage ready, took out a super there, takes out 3 more moats, takes out another... Oh, the Stronghold is
sword
being used!
blocking.
The sword block is
Not strong
Benj with the
enough.
sniper rifle nearly gets the 4-piece, coming home, making Redacted proud. They're now in the lead. The moats on Smuggler's team are getting drained, and they're going to summon the Primeval just with those moats if this keeps up.
That was
They've got to clear those
exactly-
blockers.
Exactly the invade you wanted to see from Bench
That was
all
the
day.
hero
That was
moment
the
that
hero
we've
moment.
wanted.
He went in, he absolutely shredded. They tried to block that sword in his face. He wasn't having any of that. Carved him in half, and now that could have been the final nail in the coffin. Look how far ahead they are in the moat count.
Redacted has enough to summon Primeval and everybody is heading home. This is it. This could be the final game. And with Smugglers barely at 40 moats, barely able to get anything, and now with moats yet again being drained from their bank, they are in big trouble. Primeval is coming up, and the Envoys are getting shredded by Redacted.
This is absolutely huge. They have all the time in the world to get this Primeval done. They could actually take a break, go to the bathroom, they could go to the bar and get a drink, and come back and they could probably beat the Primeval at this point. They are sitting pretty. They are just going to bide their time. They're on damage phase 1. They're not going to waste too much ammo. Well, maybe a little bit.
Maybe. Oh no, they could be
Maybe a
going
little
for
bit
the
of ammo.
BM strats here. Look at that. Bad mana from them. Using some of
wow.
that 1k Voices ammo, which is very precious. Maybe with the knowledge. Yeah, there it
Right,
is.
he's got the
That's
1K
part of the strat.
ammo
They've
on
got
the
the
floor.
brick on the ground, ready to be picked up whenever. There is an invade available for the guys over on the team for Smugglers. And the invade has landed, I think. Nope, never mind. That's
Not yet,
actually
no.
their side.
The
No,
Smugglers,
they're just key laser focused on getting all the moats.
they need to do everything they can in their bag of tricks right now. They need every invade to be absolutely on point. They need every enemy shredded, every moat picked up and banked. They have to be on fleek right now. Any mistake is going to cost them the tournament, and they are going to be going home. And Team Redacted
Oh
is
dear,
getting
here
ready
it comes, the
for a
big DPS
shred.
phase. Second Primeval damage phase, second Primeval damage stack. This invade is all they've got left.
Yellow bar is going
Is
down.
it going to be a death? Oh my goodness! Smugglers
Oh,
might
the
come back!
invade! Oh, the
2
invade!
kills down! They need to get more though, the Primeval is so weak, and just about they're able to pull it back. Redacted is going to take home the Gambit Prime Arena Cup!
Congratulations to Team Redacted. What a great performance. Man, you had the Smugglers in there trying
Oh,
their very
so
best
hard.
to keep that game going, to reset the bracket. They really wanted that invade to pull off. They were shredding them, but, you know, Team Redacted, they were
just
too
too
deep.
close. Just too close. If there had been one more kill, maybe the Smugglers might have been able to pull it back, but that's just the nature of the team they were playing against. A phenomenal phenomenal invader, a phenomenal core team with great fundamentals, and truly a great knowledge of Gambit and all of the aspects of the game. Congratulations to Team Redacted, commiserations to the Bristol Smugglers.
That was just fantastic gameplay. Team Redacted knew exactly what they were doing. There were no real mistakes in their gameplay. They were trying to make every invade really count. And I think they were doing okay up until that fantastic moment where Benj came in, and it was super versus super. There was a Fist of Havoc versus the Blade Barrage. Benj pulled off the higher altitude, couldn't get touched by that fist. He laid down the blades. That was really the key, which caused a gigantic shift in momentum. It was, what, 98 motes to 30? How are you going to come back from that?
No one is going to be able to come back from that, and that is the key point. All of the invasions led up to that one key moment where Benj was able to shut down. They even prepared for him. They were ready. They had the Fist of Havoc. But sadly, that Fist of Havoc was the 15-mote play. He was the linchpin of the entire team's ability to come back. And lo and behold, he got taken out by Benj. And that just proves that Benj truly is a world-class Gambit player. He's one of those people that's able to deduct exactly what the team is going to be able to do, predict it in advance, and then counter almost flawlessly. Even the unorthodox Stronghold Sword strategy was not able to stand up against Benj's excellent sniping skills. A truly incredible show of skill.
Absolutely, and even with Benj pulling off the flashy invasion plays, we have to give credit to every player for doing their job perfectly, shredding the Cabal, picking up the motes as quickly as they could, not getting overly picked off by invaders, staying together, keeping your cool, sticking to the plan, getting that Primeval way ahead. They could put their feet up. They did everything perfectly. Congratulations to Team Redacted and their wonderful performance.
Team Redacted coming out now. Well done to everyone who's played today. It's been a phenomenal day. It's been phenomenal to cast with you, Fallout.
Oh, Bife, thank you very much. I
feel like we
really appreciate the privilege of coming out here to talk with these fine people and with you about Gambit Prime.
I'm going to miss you too. Our producer said he's going to miss us in our ear. Oh, it's wonderful. All right, well, guys, thank you so much. It's been a fantastic day. If you guys want to go ahead and check out Gambit, you can play it in Destiny 2, of course. If you want to come to the Belong Gaming Arenas, you can find them all over the UK, not just here in Nottingham. There are ones in London, there are ones in Birmingham, there are ones all the way up north. There are ones out in Wales and Northern Ireland. They're all over the place, so you can find them almost anywhere you go. But from us here, my name is Bife.
And my name is Fallout. Thank you very much for joining us. Take care.
Ad Astra.